show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Sean are locked and loaded. They're ready to take the tickers as decided by you. So join Adair and I on the How to Trade Midday Show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. But it's a subscriber-only chat, so make sure you are subscribed to Trader TV. Let's have a look here at the future. The NQ barely positive. Barely, and I really mean barely. We are like 0.05, 0.1%. The other indices, the ES, the Russell, and the Dow also marginally red, but barely as well. It's been a very flat day today on these markets after that big down day yesterday. No indice was spared. All of them were over 1% plus. The first name, though, as decided by you guys, no surprise here, Nvidia, and they had a bit of a tough headline coming out of the morning and from the overnight session. The Department of Justice now looking to investigate Nvidia for antitrust practices, specifically around the 80% market share and the migration aspect of things, making it harder for these GPU users, guys, to migrate to another company.
Yeah, antitrust issues, I mean, that's just been... What are you going to do? If you have an 80% market share in the #1 growing, well, whatever, in AI or just any massive large segment, this is what the regulators are going to do. It's as expected. I don't necessarily think it ultimately, I don't think it matters that much. Usually what ends up happening is you get like fines every now and then, which when you're printing cash isn't the end of the world. So it's something to watch, certainly. Let's be real. Was there any bad news on Nvidia yesterday when it dropped from 117 down to 105 and lost the biggest single notional loss of an individual company in a single day? No. You don't necessarily need a catalyst. All that said, the recovery today, percentage-wise, isn't as big as what it looks like on the actual morning. Like there was an SSR bounce off of 104 and then 105. It has run into resistance, not at 111, 112 where I thought it was going into, but it can't seem to get past 110. Like the last long I had was failing this 110 level, and certainly looks like we're on the way back into a VWAP pullback. I'm in two other chip names. One makes sense in terms of what happened yesterday in ARM. ARM had a bottom at exactly 122, and I was just waiting for it to show weakness. Never did. And then this flat bottom broke the 122, like as we were just preparing to go in, it broke a long consolidation off that level, and Intel is going to be Intel. So Nvidia, it's only up half a point on what everyone's saying is the big recovery day. And just quickly, because U.S. Steel's not in there, but it probably would be.
Oh yeah.
But U.S. Steel with the deal down or gone, a couple things to keep in mind. It's through when they officially announced the deal, and if you go back to the big volume spike in August, like that was around $24, $25. That's where this stock was previously. It could easily head back to prices like that.
Oh yeah, right there, $3 now in the money on U.S. Steel. With a stop order of about 40 cents. All right, let's, and again, this is what we're talking about. This is why we sit here. This is that sort of that real trading that we're talking about. We hear this story come through, take the trade and bang it down, right? I mean, this is, we talked about trade the pool and all that, being able to short. Thank you to our sponsor. We'll get to that in a minute too. But nice move to the downside there for U.S. Steel as it continues to go. So, yeah, man, I don't know, looking to maybe get out if we break above here, 29.50. So let's give this one a little bit of room and see if there is some talk about this, coming back through. But right there, this is a great one, 29.62 or so for that. So there it is, man. We're putting it up today, boy. And then there goes Nvidia. We'll talk about this next or now. Nvidia is the #1 stock on the floor today. So we are going to say congratulations to everybody that's been doing that. And it's going to be the #1 show on the #1 trade on the show as well. And we're short now. We've already made money. We made money short there. We made money long. We had a great long from 105 all the way up there to 109 and change. So that was $4 or $5. Then it fell back. We went long again. And then guess what we're doing now? We're short now. So here's the short once, twice, thrice, 4 times. Nice move back in here for Nvidia, man. Now we're starting to get going. It's another dollar here on Nvidia. Are we going to halt again? Downside now on U.S. Steel. what a day, right? We talked about yesterday getting absolutely rinsed, and look what happens. You come back today, and there it is. So, I mean, we don't have one red name today. We're up on AMD. AMD just $1 in the money. Amazon, we wrote down 174 short. I mean, you know, the rest is history on Amazon, how good that trade was at the end of the day. Nvidia, #1 trade. Palantir, short on that one, and then there's your boy US Steel. Neil, now we are $1, $2, $3, $4 now in the money on US Steel.
Bye US Steel. Great looking short. Not gonna lie, I had to get up to do some business and came back and I was like, oh, there'll probably be an entry on it. There wasn't. You had to pick your spot. I'm like, usually if you get up right away, it's the right call because you can get back to your seat. But in some cases, this is like that Nvidia breakout that one day or like an IPO. But US Steel, and there's someone in the chat said US Steel's worth $8 or $16.
Bye-bye.
The only reason I brought up the chart to show where US Steel was when the announcements were coming through, which is historical prices. Like when they were being speculated to be bought, this is where it was trading. When the deal was announced, this is where it was trading. Ultimately, I'm not going to tell you what the value of US Steel is. I don't know, and I'm not into valuating companies. But historic prices would suggest that when the rumors started, this was like a $25, $26 company. And before that, it had supported like $17 on United Steel. Those are just historical prices. I'm not saying it's going there. But with no deal in hand, it's just trading like any other steel company.
All right, just want to let you know that the Fed Beige Book did get released there at 2 o'clock. And one of the little tidbits coming out of there is that economic activity in the United States grew in about 3 districts, but only slightly. Bit of a tough look there as we look to find that soft landing on the market. All right, next on the rundown here, Palantir. No real specific headline for it, but it sold off aggressively yesterday with the overall market. There is this headline blaming weakness in the software names on the ISM manufacturing PMI data, which came out today a bit lower than expected.
All right, let's go, man. This is going to be another one here. We'll just hit Dollar Club, although it's not. We have Palantir written on here, short into 31. We talked about shorting this level. We weren't here to short that or, you know, and that's what happens, right? We talked about that, missing trades and stuff. So we weren't here to short this 85. That was the level that we were actually had an offer at. We would have had it, but we pulled it. Now we come back. There it is, the 50-period moving average. It comes down in. I like the Palantir short. I mean, I don't love it here. It's had a huge move, honestly, like a pretty huge move, right? From 29.50, 29.30 bottom, all the way up to 30.80 right there. But we'll put on another one. This is part of the 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 gang here today, as complete opposite of what we were yesterday. But there it is, man, $30.85. Nice little top, as it was written here on this sticky note. I really like the stock. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to swoop in there and buy any over the last day when we were down here. But I think $30 is a great opportunity. I may just put a bid down there, see if we can catch it. Just as an update right here, we are another dollar in right now. Nvidia right here, finally making that move into the downside right there. 108.20 and change. Let's just put a bid and capture more profit on what's been a monster stock today, Nvidia. So again, we let it sort of settle down from yesterday. Nice move down. Just a quick update. We have this stock, and it's been fantastic, obviously, but I'm only going to give it $1 more upside. So if we break above this $29 mark, we'll get out of US Steel. But there it goes, man. Yes, sir, it's a $4 winner. You know, as we've mentioned here, you could be short at any point jeering here, except for maybe now, where we're getting a little spicy down here at 28. So let's see how far this thing goes to the downside. But it's Palantir working, it's Nvidia working, and we got stopped out of our AMD. I mean, AMD, again, is going to be one of the top stocks here. And it's just boom, boom, one trade, right off VWAP. You know, we'll take the short on Nvidia. We have literally 5 times the shares. But here we go. Good little cover there. I don't know if there's anything for you on Palantir.
Yeah, not a heck of a lot on Palantir, except the only thing I will say for Palantir is maybe observe what happened on that 15-minute chart. Like the liquidity grab underneath can give you something of a level. And yesterday, or at least the last time, on daily chart. Here, let me bring up my trade ideas for PLTR. I want to be able to show you guys the daily chart because that was the thought. The other day, we were talking about this 30 level, like right in here, prior resistance, can't hold on. So the good news would be right now you've got a wick bottom that just held a 30 on the daily, and that's what it looks like in real time. So as long as it can hold on to 30, there was a good trader who was visiting, well, there was a trader that was visiting a couple of weeks ago. One of the things he said about V-shaped bottoms is when you do that kind of a liquidity grab, a lot of times if you can get yourself in the mind space of, hey, pretend that didn't happen, and what was the stock doing before that? Well, it had support at that level before the liquidity grab underneath. And once you've recovered it all, look back to the 30 level. I got it, it's okay. Thanks, Sharif. My crutches like to slip all over the place. So once you get back above the 30, pretend like it didn't happen, and then you've got some support coming back in. Don't know that you're going to see that level today. If you do, great. Maybe we'll look for something like a bounce play off of it, but until then, on the daily chart, not looking so bad on Palantir as long as it holds $30, as bearish as the rest of the market has looked recently.
More stuff coming out of the beige book here. So it told you that 3 districts grew slightly last quarter in the United States. 9 districts were flat or declining. A bit of a concerning headline there. Also, consumer spending ticked down as well in most districts. So as we get more stuff, I'll let you know. Apple, though, next on the rundown over here, UBS maintaining their neutral rating on Apple and raising the price target, I should say, to $236. There is this little tidbit yesterday from Gene Munster saying that the Apple event next week is going to be a disappointment before it's actually good. Lots of people feel that way because now they've kicked back, guys, the Apple Intelligence AI release October.
Oh, yeah, so Apple is a tale of two halves, I suppose. When the market was screaming to the upside this morning, Apple was the weak stock. When the market is heading to, well, I mean, it's not really heading to the downside, but it's pulling back, is I guess the best way to think about it. Like this is the NASDAQ in the morning going up, and Apple's going down, and this is the NASDAQ finding a top, and when the NASDAQ is finding a top, Apple is finding a bottom and trending back up. So you've got this weird inverse relationship, which I don't think it'll last forever. I mean, obviously, if the market goes down hard enough, Apple's probably going to go down with it. But it is doing it for now. I still think Apple's in a little bit of trouble. You're not. You basically came back into yesterday's close prices, tried to go green, and that's where it's resisting. Like it's resisting 221 in here, so it's lower highs. I only shorted it at VWAP, but I'm still only looking short. Like I'm just not really convinced about Apple the way that it was selling earlier. So another a lower high off this level would be getting me back into a short into VWAP for Apple. Still a great company in the long term. I think the daily chart actually looks not that bad, but the way that it sold this morning, coupled with the fact that you couldn't get back above and get green when the market went green, a rollover here, and I think you can at least get back into VWAP. So it's trying to put in a lower high as we speak underneath this 221 level. So once it confirms that lower high, I'll look for the entry. I did take another out in ARM, and we can talk some info when we get to SMCI, because that's a chip name.
We're now $4 in the money on X, and it's still going, so all right. Nvidia now $1 in the money, so we have over $5 right now in the money on these 3 trades. So we have Nvidia with $1, Palantir with a small 10 cents, and then U.S. Steel here, United Steel, I guess, U.S. Steel, now $4 and still going lower. Look, I mean, Neil just talked about Apple. So, yeah, I thought yesterday that it had actually held out pretty good. So, yeah, I still like the stock. I still think this is a strong one. I think you got to buy it. We sold some recently at $225. We talked about that last week. You never sell enough. But, you know, we got out of some Nvidia. Wish we would have rebought some of that. I think you're getting another chance to rebuy some Nvidia a little bit lower. But, all right, so, wow, all right, now, here we go. You want to talk about another one. I mean, we gave you, Sharif brought this to everybody maybe 35 minutes ago, you know, or whenever this was. And I'm glad for that, man. Yeah, there it was 143 right there. And then ever since, man, it's just straight fire downside right now. So there goes U.S. Steel. Wow. So 28 now, new stop. So 28.25. Let's just keep on going now. Hey, it's now just $5 in the money. I mean, I don't know if Kathy Wood's going to come in and do anything about this one, but there it is. It's a monster here. It's U.S. Steel. And, yeah, our day is just starting to rack. So, all right, let's go back over there. It's Apple. It's Oxy next.
So West Texas Intermediate down 1.25%. Really mostly because of this headline. Possibly Libyan oil production to start to come back online. That'll obviously increase supply. Increases supply usually means a bit of a lower price. Also, OPEC said this morning that they were actually going to continue with the production increases. So that has had a downward effect on the West Texas Intermediate as well as Brent. There's also this headline today for Oxy. Susquehanna maintaining the positive on Occidental Petroleum and lowering, though, sadly, the price target to $78. It's at the low right now, but down 0.2%, guys. Wasn't done talking, Ram.
Oxy, I think, right? I don't know what, I haven't even looked at it.
This is the worst Oxy has looked since it has been bouncing off of $55, in my estimation. So I'm talking about for the last 2 years. Every time it bounces off 55, it's been a gift of 20%. Plus a little bit of a dividend, and you rinse and repeat it. But this time it bounced off 55, did not get to the 50 period, did not get to $60, did not get to the 200 period moving average, and now wants to retest low. That's bad. So unless it's going to bounce really, really soon, Oxy is turning into I don't want to call it a dump zone, because there you go. Let me zoom it out a little bit further. Thank you, chart. Because there is some other support that was here if you go way back to 2022. But that is a long flat bottom on Occidental Petroleum. If you start to lose this, who knows where it could end up. I mean, I'm not saying it goes down into 40, but it is worth it. It is worth mentioning that's where the support would be if we lose like $54, $55 for Oxy. For myself, if it gets under $54, I'm out of this thing. And I have it in my PA. I've taken it like 3 times. And the third time may not be a charm here on Occidental. I didn't hear any of that.
Come on, Ramin. I'm made for this, Ramin. Okay, look, man. Just about U.S. steel still. So it's coming back up. Our stop is 28. So we just touched down there at $27. So we'll have to watch out to see what happens right now. U.S. steel 28.25 there as a possible stopping spot if it does come back up. To hold this has already been a huge win. We took. So our stop was only like 40 or 50 cents. So that first part there, we took $1 immediately as we just got short and just fell, right? And then, now we're holding this last little half. I think we've done fantastic to do this. And if it does break above this $28, we'll get out and just ho-hum a $4 winner. So that would be a good one. Meanwhile, the market just continues to go lower here. We're going to talk about SMCI in a minute, but there's Nvidia right now trying to get low. So good shorts there. The first, we shorted twice today. Early, bang, those were good shorts, man. 106 into 104. Then again, one more time right here. So I only have traded today X, Palantir, which is kind of doing its own thing. Nvidia, that's 3. Amazon is 4, and AMD is 5. So, really kept things pretty tight. We did the same thing yesterday. But yesterday we had no winners. Today we have all of them. So pretty good so far. We'll wait to see what happens with SMCI. I don't know when their split date is. Must be coming up.
I had to look it up.
Bit of a tough look today, Sean, for SMCI has been lately, really. Down about almost 3 2/3%. They did get this downgrade today from Barclays, downgraded from overweight to equal weight, and an eye-watering price drop from $693 to $438. That's the biggest one I've seen, but I really haven't been keeping track. They also addressed their the short report by Hindenburg, the Hindenburg hit piece that was released last week. They released their response in a letter to shareholders yesterday. Did little, though, to alleviate some of the selling today.
Okay. You don't want to pay attention to this because this is a game changer for stock traders.
Really? Oh, you can get funds to trade stocks and don't even have to be a professional trader. Anyone can join.
Trade the Pool is a prop firm that funds stock traders worldwide. No more risking your own money. And no more PDT rule. Get that out of here. You can even get funded with up to $260,000 worth of buying power.
Look, you can trade real shares. You can short any penny stocks. Any penny stocks. And you don't trade alone. You can trade with other traders in Trade the Pool community on Discord. I think that's very underrated. I think you got to understand that trading in a community is very, very important. You could do that here with Trade the Pool on Discord. Search for tradethepool.com and you'll find all the information you need. I wish, really wish, there were something like this when I had started trading. It is truly amazing.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to check this out.
How could you not check it out?
How could you? I mean,
you could then have trades like we're showing you right now.
Because you can short what will be a penny stock eventually.
Nvidia.
Well, I was going to say, Nvidia is probably not going to be a penny stock.
It better not be. Or
U.S. Steel is mathematically more likely. But, yeah.
Yeah, we are, yeah. Oh, that's what happened.
Oh, the split date on SMCI is October 1st. I thought the 1st.
Oh, was it? I thought I heard it. October 1st.
Yes, October 1st.
All right, we just got it a U.S. Steel. So right there, man, that's exactly the trade right there that we'll try to do as many times as possible, over and over and over again. $3 winner, $3.50. Boom on that one. Big trade alert right there. We tweeted it out the minute we had it. It was on live on the air. We've been putting stuff in the chat. Make sure you follow the chat every single day, even during the midday show. I'm going to be on there posting it up. We also have the second channel up right now, more Trader TV Live, where you can see all the damage being put on. I mean, I was telling, Sharif even guessed my price on Nvidia. I'm like, I'm short Nvidia again as I was doing this. So we got short Nvidia 4 times here, yelling about it every time, and there it comes right back into the downside. Neil, not only can you trade this at tradethepool.com, but you don't need to join any Discord with us, man. We're here for you every single day. And there it is, man. It's Nvidia. So that's a big, huge, huge, huge trade. One more time right there. That's $1.50 in the money on Nvidia. Now 15 cents, hopefully going lower on Palantir. Man, today we on fire.
Yeah, get down market. Well, at least we hope the market gets down to the downside. The chip names are having no trouble going to the downside. Well, I guess we talked about SMCI, but we didn't really show it, did we? That's our bad.
I didn't talk about it.
You know what? All we did is say when the split date is.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
why not?
SMCI is having a bad day. The market is having a bad day, but it actually is not crazy. This is an inside day for SMCI. Yesterday's close, the wipeout bottom at about 408, and now it's just sort of chilling out in the middle. So when I say it's an inside day, like it hasn't broken the morning range. Of course, it's not trading where yesterday it was. The bad thing about SMCI would be that ever since it lost that support, and this is like, this support line I have in here is because Obi said it, and then it ended up holding. So I'm like, I'm never erasing this line till it's irrelevant, because he said this when it was breaking the 200-period moving average. I was like, I'll throw that line up on the chart. It was a big level back in here, and that's the beginning of the year, January 26th or so. And now you're consolidating under that with a potential 400 break looming on SMCI. I don't have to tell you, this was lockstep with Nvidia through all of the AI craze. Everyone's like, hey, don't sleep on SMCI. SMCI is also going crazy, yada, yada, yada. Well, it quadrupled from $300 to $1,200 in just the first quarter. And it is a stone's throw away from giving the entire thing back. Like, all it has to do is break a consolidation. Could it drop another $100? It absolutely could. Not a good look for SMCI, although it hasn't broken 400 yet. It could be looming sometime soon. Another name which could be a penny stock. Okay, fine, probably not, but it's closer to being a penny stock than a lot of the other chip names. Intel's taking it on the chin again, because that's what they do. But it's not little photo shoot action going on there. Don't say shh when you just showed them. Like, come on, Ramin's like, shh. He knows he's on camera. So Sharif doing his best to look dapper in front of this.
That's his best?
Oh, he's trying his best.
I mean, so handsome.
We didn't get to take our. Did you get to shoot in front of the desk?
Oh, I got to shoot in some crazy spots, man. You know,
okay.
Yeah.
No, mine was pretty
lit, as they say.
Mine was pretty boring. I was just saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's not boring is the action here. I mean, there it is, man. $1.40 to the downside. We just getting some out on VWAP right there. We now are getting lighter and lighter on these trades, man. I mean, when you go from top to bottom like that, this is the thing. You take some out at the 50 period. You take some out at the 200 period. Then you get some out at VWAP, and you basically call it a day. You know, so good one today. Revenge day for sure on these names, and it looks like it is what's good. We did also put up here. I mean, you guys could see we talked about this earlier. You can go find out every single day the sticky note, which is right here. You know, we have some trade ideas on here. We talked about Mara. We can have a look at that. I actually really forgot about crypto at the beginning of the day, to be honest with you. Nvidia, there's the Palantir the Palantir 31 short. So that's obviously going to be a banger right here as we only have it one time. I know, Kathy, we both love Palantir. We're just shorting it for now. And then the Amazon short was a great one as well. That's PL number 2 for me. Actually, X now. X just took it over. So X will be the number 2 stock today. But, you know, it was really Palantir coming upside. And then there's Amazon. And I was like, what just happened to Amazon? So as we see where it's been today, we were short. So here's 174. We hit that short first, 174 down there to 173.40. That was pretty good. Back up here into the 50 period, moving average. Nice move down into 173. So Dollar Club members there shorted off the 200 before losing. We got out and did not fight it, right? We've talked about change man. We did not fight that. And then that break right there at 174.50 VWAP would have been the thing. So that's a nice move down there for Amazon through 174.50. Through into 173. So, yeah, great short there. Obviously, wish we still had it. We'll watch it at 174 because it's a level that we had talked about a few times. But I you know, if I'm going to get into another position today, it probably will be something on that Amazon pop. If it gets going, Micron is still positive actually on the day, which is fine. I mean, a lot of chip names are, as we've talked about. But Micron right now holding underneath the 200 period and the 50 period, I'm actually looking for a break. Lower on view up here, 89.30, possible for a break low right there on Micron. But yeah, man, so far so good. We're out of half of our Palantir. Maybe get out of a little bit more as the market's taking the 50 period again.
Yes, sir. The market is bouncing off 19,000. I'm like, what's strong? And it looks like it's actually Apple.
Boom.
Yeah, Apple's still looking pretty solid. Maybe it does want to take out this 221. It doesn't really confirm by breaking any of the support just now. It goes right into 220.5. I was looking for that to break down and start getting some lower highs and lower lows. Instead, Apple seems to want to break it out the top here. What are you saying about Intel? Oh, yeah, so Intel's CFO is speaking at some conference right now. So it's like it's not moving, but if it does break, I have a trail in here. See this like lower high here or whatever, what do you want to call it? 196.68. If it breaks out from there, I'm going to get out and wait for it to get into about 1980. But they are speaking, well, I shouldn't say they, I should say the CFO, I believe, is speaking at a conference. Doesn't mean anything crazy. He's going to come out, like, what are they going to say? Hey, we finally caught up with TSMC. We can do 3-nanometer chips.
Maybe he'll
no, they can't
quit. You know, may step down. I mean, I think that could spark.
Okay, so like that's interesting. Although I don't think you'd announce that at a conference, but it's the type of thing. If you, well, you know what? Maybe you would. I have no idea when you would announce a thing like that. That said, if a stock like this, which is this badly beat up, look at the daily chart. Like this, it's still in a consolidation since that earnings moved to the downside. If you do make some kind of a dramatic C-suite change, or I mean, like I'm just making up the 3-nanometer chip thing. If they did have some kind of a breakthrough, that's exactly what could cause it to maybe squeeze a bit to the upside and try to fill in the gap. But you know, if they happen to announce it, we'll let you guys know. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I shouldn't chuckle about it. It's entirely possible that something significant comes of this conference. Just not really thinking necessarily anything is happening right as of now. So a couple of things we were just talking about relative strength on Apple when that just popped into my ear. Apple looks like it wants to take out this local high. Suddenly it looks like 221 is catching a bit of a bid. With the market holding 19,000, yeah, I don't know if it's delusional, but it's certainly. Oh, I thought you said I was talking about Apple, and I thought like you saying Apple's delusional.
Yeah, we're talking politics over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look,
me.
Shout out to Danielle here asking about green or red today. Look, I gave Sharif a lot of credit. He mentioned today a couple times that he was red, and you can ask us at any times. And you know, yesterday I was telling you, I've already told you numerous times today how red yesterday was. But yeah, man, today's a pretty good green day here. We're not green as red as we were yesterday, but we're battling back and feeling real good about ourselves. And I think sometimes battling back, showing that fortitude is obviously what it's all about. And you know, when you do trade bigger, you can get bigger hits, and we're hoping to have bigger wins. So that's what we're doing today, and it's a really good day. So we're there, man. It was a really great day for a few traders around here. I'll leave it at that. some nice Nvidia dip buy opportunities and some shorts back in as well. So you could see damage being put on everywhere right there.
Right.
So, all right, Oracle. Let's. Not moving around. I want to try to find some more opportunities there that I really haven't looked at. Mr. Softy used to be. Because it was one of my favorite stocks. I mean, this might be the stock that I made the most money on, but I haven't traded in a long time. You know, we used to trade this name $200, like, you know, a lot less than where it is right now. I don't care about the price. Stock makes no difference to me. But it's just a matter of looking to see if there's any good trade opportunities. Microsoft's another one of those names that's really far off from its all-time high, man. Like 470 down here into $4. I mean, losing 70, not great, man, on that one. I'd like to see Microsoft get above this 427, 428 area before we start to buy some more of that. And I think that's, you know, days away. Remember, we are an interest rate cut cycle, right? That's going to be happening in September. So let's not, you know, the way these stocks look today, they're not going to look like this at the end of September. I feel like they're going to be higher. But all right, so I just don't know the next couple of days. Microsoft right here holding VWAP real nice at 408. So I know we're well off there right now, but let's not think that we can't get down. I mean, we have $1.40 in the money right now on Nvidia, you know, and this is only a $100 name. So Microsoft could definitely test. Whoops, there you go. Microsoft could definitely test this 408 one more time. So I think that's something to look at right now. Palantir, okay, we got another fill there. Just got a little more out as it came back up. It's not a very sexy stock by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a stock that we're trading, and hopefully it comes back into that level, and we'll see what's going on there. I'm just going to watch out, honestly. We'll sit here and trade Nvidia. My stop, I'm going to get out of a third of the position that we have if we break right here, 108.20s, 108.25. So that's going to be a stop spot right there. Ozan, you want me to make SPY 560 again? What is SPY at right now? I don't. How exactly do I do that? I mean, I have, you know, we're talking about buying power here that exceeds a lot. But at the end of the day, there's no way you can get this name to go $9. You have to be buying basically Kathy's arc here all the way back up to the upside. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, Ozan. But we are bouncing. The good news about the SPY is we really like the 50-period moving average, and we're only points away from all-time high, right? I think you're probably now, how much were we down yesterday? 1.8 on the SPY or something. So you were about half a point. So I'd say about 2.5 points away, percentage points away from all-time SPY again. So I think we get there. You just, everything takes time.
Yeah, I mean, considering that it's like we're not even green on the SPY today, after what it seemed like such a great rally, but it ultimately hasn't even gone. I mean, it was positive earlier, but we haven't gone back to positive on the ES. So you're ways away, I think, from that kind of a sentiment change yet. ASTS had a big sentiment change today, and that is it might make a run at the highs on the daily here. And I'll preface this every single time I talk about it. These guys have a $3,700 price to sales. $3,700. That's actually, like, for a company that actually has revenue, I can't remember seeing anything like that. I'm sure it exists somewhere, but until I see something else like this, it's one of a kind. It's a crazy run, and we did caution people that the last time it was up and around here, it did dip from $40 all the way into $27. And it's making a bit of a seed change. It got to that 36, it was part of the lesson of the day, got to that 36. It seems like a trend trade or a trend break did already happen in this. If you were looking at an afternoon trend line and asked ASTS, like it had this trend kind of dirtily drawn, but when it broke out here, I can connect it a little bit better, but it ended up breaking the trend right in here. And now some lower highs are coming in. It looks like a bit of a VWAP retracement here for ASTS. Okay, now Apple's starting to look a little bit weaker with the market coming in. I want the lower high. It cannot seem to break and hold above 221. And I think Apple, you can see the resistance on Apple at this level. Now that it's back underneath, I'm going to look to short it back into the 221 area. The high of the day, check that. It's not the high of the day because like right at the open it was higher. The high in the afternoon is 221.15. Obviously, this was above 222 very briefly at the open, but since then, you've got this line in the sand type of resistance for AAPL here. So ASTS, do like the short. We actually have free locates on this today. We don't have to pay for them at all. So shout out to Real Trading. But underneath this 35.50, starting to break. It's got another trend which just broke underneath 35. This local high is 35.70. I want to be short back into that. The trend just broke at the 35 even.
I may be, I promise you I won't be boring, but we're going to look for some more trades, of course. But right now, let's just stay where the bread is being buttered. We've already talked about Nvidia. Nvidia is coming back in again. So we'll try to short more if we get to the 50-period moving average. But for right now, it's $2 in the money. And then also you get Palantir coming back in as well. We'll take a cover here at 60. Now it's coming back in one more time off of a nice trade right in there, man. Yeah, really, obviously, as we continue to go here, happy with the way stocks are performing right now. Now, oh my. Here we go. I'm bidding 107.15. We are absolutely on fire right now, ladies and gentlemen, here, as this market just continues to make a move down. We're either just read it real bad yesterday or just real great today. But there it is. It's a move. And we were long Nvidia, and it was #1 stock at that point. Then we went 4 short, and boom, to the downside there. This trade is $2 with basically a 15-cent stop. Wait a minute, say 38, so 28, 22-cent stop or so. Right, give or take a little bit. So nice little 10-to-1 risk to reward right now as that continues to make moves lower. We're bidding 107.15. I mean, this is the one. I mean, yesterday we talked about it, and I even said this on the recap show. Like, I'm not going anywhere. You know, like this is. I'm here every single day, putting on what I feel to be good trades. Yesterday they came in and they just got ran over. So yes, today it is complete opposite. We've stuck with the same strategies, basically trading 4 or 5 names, you know. But at the end of the day, today we're 5 for 5. You know, yesterday I think we were 1 for 4 or 1 for 5. You know, so it wasn't great. I think we had a good trade near the end of the day. But then today we just come back with, again, same kind of confidence and do stuff like this. You know, hit U.S. Steel when that move comes to the downside, right? Put stuff out there when Amazon is going crazy here. Look how we get out. This is a completely different mentality than we had yesterday. You know, and that's the ability to be able to change that up and then go for something a little different and completely switch up your fate, you know, and that's the thing. So that's what I'm most proud of today, and I'm also most proud of Mumu.
Yeah, and right now, while everyone is focused on this week's non-farm payrolls and unemployment data, these reports will impact whether the U.S. might enter a recession and the Fed's potential rate cuts in September. Those numbers exceed expectations. U.S. stocks could jump. If not, they could tumble. That is coming out at 8:30 a.m. this Friday, right before the market opens. If you want to be one of the first to trade on the news, Mumu's got your back with pre-market and after-hours trading. By getting in early, you can snag a better price, whether you're buying or selling. Mumu's an all-in-one investing platform that's partnered with the NASDAQ and even listed on the exchange. They've got an extended 16-hour U.S. trading window, so you can jump on any opportunity before the traders even wake up. That means better filling prices and more time to trade the market. Plus, Mumu's fees charge 0 commission on trades and 0 contract fees for stock options. Scan the QR code or use the link in the description. You'll get access to an 8.1% APY on any uninvested cash with Cash Sweep, 15 free stocks, and up to $300 in transfer bonuses. Don't miss out. And we talk about economic data mattering. We mentioned that with our guest yesterday, Mr. Zaxon. And quite frankly, until we get to that Friday, there's a heck of a lot to digest. A lot can happen in between now and when we get that data. So with that, let's try to get back into it. I did take that trade in ASTS as it did come right through the 35. It broke 35 even, got 34.96. It just tagged the 60 level. So right in front of that support at about 50, it tagged 60 right away. So first move down, we grab that at 1-to-1. Going to tighten the stop up as long as it tries to make this higher low hold. I'm going to tighten the stop up on ASTS. Apple is starting to look a little bit weaker. So it did not get back into 221. So unfortunately, does not get back to 221 to try and short some of those tops, but going to look for that lower high, which we're sitting at right now. Intel looks like it's going to be a nothing burger on this presentation. It popped up maybe a few cents when they started and now just going lower. I'm going to look to add to this one if we can, but bit of a flat bottom break through 19.55. I'd rather short the next available pop. This wasn't really a VWAP short. It was like $19.80, and some size showed up here. I shorted in front of it. They broke it. It came back. I shorted it again. And it wasn't even as big the second time through in terms of how much size was on the offer, but clearly there was a seller at 1980, and we were looking short pretty much the entirety of the afternoon. What else we have? Let us know what else is moving around that you guys are interested in. I'm focused on Apple, now ASTS, and Intel, and we'll have a quick look at what's going on and anything that you guys are interested. Okay, we can look at Meta, Crispy. I see Crispy in the chat there saying Meta's strong today. It's actually green on the day into a red market. Clearly there's a little something happening at 516 or 515. Just look at the top, yesterday's trade, and look at the top in here today. Look at the last few days worth of support at that price level. I'd wager if you can't break out this high at about 516 bucks, its fate could just be like everything else. So strong stock, nice little bull flag, but if you can't break out the top, it's looking a bit top heavy here on Meta. That's the kind of thing I'd want to see is back over 1900, and then I can get with this being along. But it's interesting that it's holding up as well with the market pulling back in here. Still needs to break out the top. You're right in resistance on Meta, unfortunately.
All right. You know, a $30 name here, 1% in the money. I mean, Palantir right now, we're 30 cents in the money on the downside. So we just took out another piece down here at 40 cents right now for Palantir. So again, the trade we talked about to stop would be 13 cents. It's now 30 cents, so just over 2 to 1 right now on that ratio, and we get lighter and lighter on this trade. I mean, we've already nailed this trade. I mean, we're down now here at VWAP on the futures. So shout out to Dan Emmons. I don't think he's here now. He was here in the morning. He had a nice short on as well. But look what Nvidia is doing, man. It's still going. I feel like, anyways. We only have now like maybe 10% left. I don't even know how many shares I had at this point, but nice move to the downside. Took some out here. I'm really proud to be able to hold this all the way now 250 and still going. So yeah, Palantir short. Yeah, you're right about that, Mr. Battles. Right there, Mr. Westermeyer, Super Chats 199. Thank you so much for that as well. We can look at Amazon. We said this could be one name that we could trade on a breakdown lower. U.S. Steel. Feel pretty good where we got out. I mean, we got out here at 28.25. It looks like we have maybe even got that fill, maybe 27s, 26s. It does go all the way to 29.25. So again, we save ourselves a little bit of money on that one. And by the way, we forgot to do this. What was for lunch today was actually jerk chicken. So I think that was pretty good.
Smelled really good.
Yeah, it was good. I grabbed a piece of that. Yeah, I grabbed a little piece of that, and it was really good. And it's funny because last night we had barbecue chicken at the Katina household. But it wasn't jerk. It was like a Japanese barbecue sauce. Ooh. Really good. They sell it at Costco. Oh, there's Dan Emmons. What's up, Dan?
He's still here.
He's still here and covering. Okay, man. I mean, absolutely great. You and I feel like it's hard to find real traders. And I feel like, Dan, you are one of them. You're posting your levels all the time. You talk about being up, down, around, sideways, and all that. So I appreciate that. And I mean, so respect to Dan Emmons and everybody else that's on the chat that shares their ideas and actually is trying to do something trading. So respect to that one. And if you're not, you know, maybe you're here for the entertainment, you're here for some trading ideas. But if you are maybe using lesser shares or not having great luck at trading as well, you can join our midday show where they will also talk about different strategies. Today was trend lines and whatnot. And then you'll also see here, depending on your style, I've traded only 5 names, right? Neil's probably traded a dozen or so. That's sort of the difference. You'll see the same thing on the midday show. Adara really likes SMCI or Eli Lilly and things like that. And I see Sharif trading some more of the runner names and things like that. So a lot of different feels on the show. And that's the thing. So make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe.
Well, I meant by low float, we actually got a super chat about a low float name. I don't know if Sharif traded this one, to be honest with you. But I do know it was on the watch list this morning. There was, and it was WYSA, and there was one that I couldn't remember, and it was WYNT. So thank you, Mr. Westermeyer.
Did not.
It was, he didn't trade, but this was on our watch list. I know it was a runner. The question for Mr. Westermeyer, and we appreciate the super chat, is why do low floats drop below pre-catalyst? And I'm pretty sure I saw a good answer from our community in here. And you always have to understand sort of where a stock is coming from and what it's doing in general, right? So companies that do it's constantly reverse splitting or constantly having stock offerings and over again in the rinse and repeat. You got to understand a lot of times, I'm not speaking about every company, I'm not saying WINT does this or any small cap does this, but in a general sense, you're getting exit liquidity of a sense when they have a press release. That's often a great opportunity for them to be able to raise capital, to be able to do an offering, or when a stock is rolled over, like WINT had already done, then you have a positive catalyst when it gets dumped or any kind of catalyst, and reversals on stocks like this tend to get back to where they want to be, which is where they start at the bottoms. A perfect example of this, and it's not to pick on Mullen, but it's the easiest example I can think of on a daily chart, is it might be the easiest stock. Just wait for them to have good news, allow it to establish some kind of a top, and if you short off that top, this is what ends up happening. So it's not to say like a good company, when they have good news, you can anchor to that and say, hey, it shouldn't be any worse than this because this is when the buy was. This is where it held support off for earnings or whatever. With these small cap names, you've got to be very careful. A lot of times they're not making any money. So when they have a good press release, you've got to be very cautious when it starts to pull back in because gravity takes it all the way back. I say this, and now I'm in ASTS, and I have to, I'll pull this one up. This is one that hasn't done that. Let's be real. This company has continued to go higher and higher, ASTS. And I think that's baffling, but it doesn't matter what I think about ASTS. I don't know much about the company other than the space that they're in and the small cap or the small float that it might be. What I can tell you is if it gets to VWAP, I'm out. If it gets back above 34.50, then I'm trailing out. It's been strong. It continues to stay relatively strong. Was just looking for the lower high, break down consolidation under 35 even, and then play into VWAP. This could easily hold VWAP. I mean, it could hold back in here, 32.75, like the morning range top, like right before the open where it broke out. It could hold on to that as well. So there's a heck of a lot that can happen on ASTS. Still up 16%. We're just looking for a quick little pullback trade. My trail is now into break even. And look at that. We get a special treat. It is hump day. And we've got Mr. Ryan Faluna ready to join us. So always happy to talk to Ryan. There he is. We were just talking about small caps, Ryan, so I don't know if you were trading any of these runners here in today. I'm going to suggest that maybe one or two of them could have been in your wheelhouse. How's your day going?
My day is actually going great. I have a new pair of running shoes coming today that I'm excited about, but the market was great too. Here's the thing about those small caps that you were just talking about. I was 2 for 3 today on my intraday trades. I made enough. I'm walking away. I'm exercising discipline. Since I joined, the only 2 stocks I heard you trade were ones that I traded today. I got stopped out of WINT on a head fake right out around the open, and I traded Astus on a VWAP cross back. I had to say it. You've actually got me saying Astus on my own shows now. ASTS.
It's not really my fault. I can't take any credit for it whatsoever. It was actually Sharif on our midday who was calling it that. Actually, no, was it? Yeah, it was Sharif. And there was another trader who also was calling it something very similar to that, which I would argue is less appropriate to even say on air. No, so I just trailed out of Okay, I'm just going to say Astus because now it's in my brain.
Take that.
So ASTS broke 35. It tried to get right in through here, the previous support at 34.30, and then it made the bounce. So we just continued to trail. It was just a breakdown trade after it made the break at 36. It's like make a triple top, and then break down the even dollar. Make a lower high triple top, and then break down the even dollar. So it's kind of a similar pattern that it did, but this is a strong one. I'm going to presume. Okay, I don't want to presume, but if I were to ask you about ASTS, it was so bad early in the session, like it was just dropping like an absolute rock. But down here, it goes to the break-even price, like 29.5, where it closed at 29.41, and then it does this big liquidity grab. Now, were you looking at it before it did that, or did you say, "Hey, wait a minute, look at that liquidity grab down there. Let's start looking for a trade on ASTS"? Was it always on the radar? Did it pop in after? When did this look good for you? Because that was looking like a big-time short in the first 20, 30 minutes.
Absolutely, it was. I'm extremely fortunate that my trading partner in the morning got me paid today. He is all up on all of these stocks. Doesn't matter if it's Rocket Lab, Lunar, ASTS, Tesla. It doesn't matter. He's over all of those different space things, and he lets me know when this is going on. So you're absolutely right. We were actually talking about this thing really kind of selling off here today. But if you take a look at the chart, let me show you exactly what it is here. We're selling off. We're strong in the pre-market, okay? And we started to sell off out of the open, and we actually used the VWAP, which is this squiggly line here, as resistance. We tried to trade back up to it on some pretty decent volume, but we couldn't really push it through. When we got up here, one of the things I had just been talking to the group about is, folks, when stuff moves through the VWAP, you really want to see that volume expand from the level that it's at. Well, look what happens. We punch through the VWAP, we kind of consolidate there, and look what the volume does. It goes from very, very small sticks here. I'm sorry if this is hard for your viewers to see. It looks perfect on the screen right in front of you. It goes from very, very small volume sticks, and they continue to expand. The price takes out the VWAP. The target here was 33. I actually have the pre-market high marked off. I think this is what, 32.81 or thereabouts. Target here was 33. We actually got a little bit more than that on this potential trade. Once it lost that strength, you're out of this one. This was extremely easy. We basically just waited for a VWAP reclaim and combine that with expanding buying volume. That's what we got here. That was the trade on ASTS.
Yeah, great. Look, I think that was pretty easy for everyone to be able to see there in terms of the volume, right? Like you guys all saw, and I'm not saying you have to have every indicator out there, but I can tell you I've got two on an intraday chart, and they are volume and VWAP. And it's not, I don't think it's a coincidence. There's lots of great indicators. If they work for you, that's fine. But I feel like you want to know how much volume is going off at a bare minimum. And volume weighted average price tends to be a good tool. Run us past this WINT, because I was bringing this one up in the context of a super chat that we got from one of our viewers, Ryan. I didn't trade it today. It was on our watch list, but this one didn't catch a bid. Obviously, it was looking pretty good and ended up halting down. And I can wish now that I had looked at it. I have a halt scanner up, but after it halted to the downside, it then turned into a pretty simplistic trend trade in there on WINT. And given the day that it had yesterday, maybe not surprising where it ended up.
So first of all, the whole thing with this trade, if you want to show the chart here, I can illustrate it as clear as day. All this was here today, greed got me. That's literally all it was. First of all, when I was doing the rundown for the stocks that are going to be on our short list to trade around the open, we were actually talking about this stock in the pre-market. And you can see we were trading here. We actually pushed up, and then we kind of consolidated. And a number of people in the chat, including my partner, said, boy, it sure looks like WINT wants to go. And we're looking at this, kind of hold this level, trying to pop. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this here. I'm going to try some of that. Bought some of it. We got a pop out of the open, and I wanted more. I just didn't sell it. And what happened? That thing in the next minute got yanked. Soon as we snapped the VWAP here, I'm below my cost. That's my stop out price. And like you said, once we started to halt it down, this thing never caught a bid the rest of the day. Sometimes if you get stopped out of these trades that are right around the open, the stock will actually set up later on in the day, maybe around the lunch hour or slightly in the afternoon. Look at WINT. No strength at all here today. The right trade on this one was a short trade. And unfortunately, I was mesmerized by the pre-market. Call it the siren song if you want. I was mesmerized by this looking like it was going to go, and then it did, and I just didn't get enough to sell into it. I had a gain on this. I ended up getting stopped out about flat.
Yeah, I feel like it was Lunar the other day that did a very similar move to this off of the open, but this one had a better run up because, like you said, it did break that 5. It almost got to like $6 in there. I mean, you get like 10, 15 points. That's certainly a good one at that point. And whether you're going long, short, a lot of these, like you said, you will find an opportunity when everyone's given up on them, not in this particular case. When everyone's given up on it, it might end up holding like a pre-market low throughout lunchtime or like the previous day's close throughout lunchtime, and then everyone sort of gives up. And then in the afternoon, it gets going again. And I've been in several of those. Is there something... Okay, so I know you only go long, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever see something like this, and just because of the way that it trended and underneath VWAP and only going down, so do you ever see something like this and say, hey, I want to try to short some of these. I want to get into that game as well. I know you stick to your guns, which is great, only going long. But when I see something like WINT, like my first thought was, oh, yeah, it gave up VWAP, but why wasn't I paying for locates on WINT? That's the question I'm asking myself.
So a couple of things here. First of all, you asked me another question that I didn't answer in my last response in regards to yesterday. One of the reasons that I was greedy on this is because we had such a precipitous fall yesterday. I thought this bounce back could really even reclaim a lot more of this. So that's what I was looking for. I don't necessarily dig into the whole like medical thing. That's not my wheelhouse, so I don't pretend like it's my wheelhouse. So I'm looking at price action here. Price action told me this thing could bounce more. It didn't. I ended up getting stopped out of it. Now, as far as your question here about shorts, first of all, I predominantly do longs. I will short a stock, but I am not in the habit of shorting a stock that's $1 to $4. Like, why? That your maximum upside there is a couple of bucks. Give me a stock like Lilly, then we can start talking, or Nvidia. Higher price stocks, if I see a short setup, I will try and do that, or I will try and execute that. Little stocks like this that can really kind of get slammed, popped into upside halts. No, man, I stay away from all of that. I just don't even want to deal with it. I'll wait for the long thing. This ended up getting halted here. And I mean, if you're in it in a halt that's to the upside, what's the worst that can happen? Maybe it drops a little. A lot of the times when that halt opens up, that thing rockets up. That's good for the trade here. With the whole short thing, shorting $2, $4, $5 stocks, not in my risk parameters.
What's up, Ryan? Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I knew you short stocks in general, but not those low ones.
Yeah, not the low ones, exactly.
Understands that because there's so many good shorting opportunities. We're in a $3 short right now on Nvidia as that keeps on going to the downside. So we're shorting that one off. That's 110 area. What a wild day for Nvidia recently. What's your opinion on maybe more of a longer term support level for Nvidia? If you were looking to buy something for maybe a swing trade, are we at those levels right now in and around 105? We saw it bounce off there yesterday. Or are you maybe looking for a little bit lower if someone said, hey, look, we're cutting rates at the end of the month, right? We already know that's there. And if we think that Nvidia is going to be something that we want to get long, what are some levels you're looking at for that? And maybe is now a good time to start positions?
So that is a great question. This is the $64,000 question, and I actually polled my group about this very question yesterday. Again, let's go to the chart here. First of all, Sean, you're exactly right, because this little bounce off the VWAP that we weren't able to hold, and then the break beneath VWAP, this is a clear short setup right here. And guess what? The stock's not $2. So giddy up on that short there. Totally get you. Let's go back to a daily chart here. Let's get some moving averages in here. Let's turn off VWAP and let's talk about levels. Here's what you can see with Nvidia. We have this trend line that it is absolutely obeying, and we've had the last couple of days here where the stock really can't get rolling. I suspect we're going to trade down. Now, I asked my group yesterday, I said, folks, what level would Nvidia have to be for you to start buying? And all of the answers that I got were I'd say 90% of them were between $90 and $100. So to answer your question outright, if this stock gets to the Livermore level of $100, I think it bounces there. If it plunges through that $100, which I don't think it's going to do on its first attempt, and then recaptures it, I think there's more long side there for a potential trade as well. Looking out a little bit longer, if you want to hold this for more than just a short-term trade, I definitely want to see what happens down here at 91. And you know I love my 200-day moving average. That's currently at 88.5 about. I'd actually really love for that to kind of battle at that level, break it, and then within 2 or 3 days, recapture it. If you get that set up on here, I am backing up the truck and firing the cash cannon at Nvidia for a swing long.
Backing up the truck there as well as the wheelbarrow full of cash. Hopefully does not leave our hands too quickly. I want to ask you one more thing before we let you go. Thank you for joining us again. Past 3 o'clock, Power Hour. You believe in Power Hour?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I like
that. A lot of the trades happen around that first hour of the market and that last hour, Power Hour, 100%.
I love that as well. 50-period moving average, you just touched on it, in the 200-period as well. IWM is right there right now, Ryan. We're falling back in. This is a name again. I always try to think, you can never really outthink the market, but we could at least try to. And if rates are going to be a thing, apparently, heading into 2025, do we not buy IWM? I mean, this is supposed to be, you know, the one, this is the Russell 2000, of course. It's supposed to be the one sector and ETF that benefits maybe the most historically from lower rates. So what are we thinking here at these levels? I mean, I guess it's easy to say maybe down to the 200 might be something. I'm kind of with you there on Nvidia. There could be a little bit more pain to come. I feel like buying dips in the IWM, and I feel like we're pretty safe as long as we hold 200. Any opinion on something like this as we get into the rate cut cycle?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, you're 100% right. This should benefit if we have rate cuts. Tom Lee has been saying this. He has pretty much called this better than anybody else out there that I'm aware of. I think here, any of these moving averages that we're looking at on this daily chart, I think you can try this for a trade. Honestly, we're currently sitting right here at that 50-day. You're right. We're holding that so far. We've got the 100-day at 206.88 right beneath it. And then the 200-day. Honestly, I love the 200-day. The last time we talked about this sold off and bounced hard off the 200-day. But I don't know if I want to see that again. If we do bounce off the 200-day, I'd like to give it some more time so it can continue to move up here. We already bounced off it once. That was about 197. If we bounce off it again here at 202, sure, that's a higher low, but I want to see some more juice there. Now, as far as your question about the rate cuts, the other thing here is that, you know, buying IWM might be one way to do that. But another suggestion that I would have is look for some of these small cap companies that have cash. Because, yeah, the rate should help them. But if they have cash, they're probably going to get searched for quicker. You might get better performance. You might get better chart action on some of those names. So definitely looking to play small caps. Most of my portfolio is small caps. I'm really hoping that this ends up making some of those stocks trade up here. So I'm with you on that. I just think if you wanted to go to individual names here, one of the things you can kind of look at fundamentally is going to be cash flow and cash on hand. If you buy stocks that are cash flow positive and have cash already on the balance sheet, you're probably going to have an easier time trading those names.
Look, we had Kevin O'Leary on our show many, many times, and he always says cash flow. So every time I hear somebody say that, I have to do that in order to stay in Kevin's good books. I'll give you one more name here, XLRE. This is another real estate ETF, continues to work. It's a Select Spider Trust Real Estate. Look at this move, man, taking out highs right now. XLE, match that with your KRE, and you got a couple REs there in your portfolio. I think both of these continue to work here into the new year. So, Ryan, I want to thank you once again. And we were listening to the Benzinga Pro platform earlier today when we found out that had their interest rate announcement, and you guys covered that beautifully. So I want to thank you for that this morning at 9:45 there. And we get a quarter-point cut over here in Canada. Oh, I meant to ask you, you mentioned pair of shoes, near and dear to my heart. So what do you got coming in the mail?
Are you sure you want the truth here? I'll give it to you, but you got to tell me that you're sure.
I'm thinking I don't, but I know the people, you know, being a man of the people, they want to know.
Okay. I have a replacement pair of Hokas showing up here. Now, I'm not trying to come out here and disparage anybody. I've been told by everybody that loves to run, look, Hokas are the best. You got to try them. You got to try them. I bought a pair on June 19th that completely wore through the sole before August 15th. There is no premium $200 or $150 plus shoe that should wear through completely in under 2 months. I sent it back for warranty. I was so angry. I ordered a different model. So this is it. This is it. If this shoe lasts, okay, I can be a customer. If this shoe does not perform, I'm done on Hoka. Give me my New Balance. I'll even go check out ON shoes.
All right. Wow. Hey, good call on that one. Hey, look, you got to
be honest.
Running shoes, but
I like that, man. Send it back, man. You're not satisfied.
Exactly.
Send it back.
2 months. 2 months. I do 5 miles a day, every day. Okay.
Nice.
5 miles a day.
Well
every
done.
day. But I'm sorry. they should last longer than 2 months.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's not enough miles for the shoe to be worn out. So I'm going to give them another chance.
Yeah,
We'll see how it goes.
I
Give him
couldn't
hell,
agree more.
Ryan.
You should give them heck. New Balance does pretty well for runners. I'll tell you that much. But
That has been my shoe since high school, boss.
Look, I'll tell you straight up. New Balance, those were my cross country. The only time I would wear anything but New Balance was like warm up runners for track. And then I usually run in like Nikes or something like that. But for running long distance, Saucony back in the day and New Balance, you can't go wrong with those. But let us know how they go. They deserve to treat you well. 5 miles a day, I got to give kudos to that. Like that's amazing, man. I wish I was still running a little bit. I got to get back to that.
I have a question for Ryan. Why not 6, man? Why are you stopping at 5?
That's a cute question there. Most of it is time related. It takes me about an hour and 5 minutes to get through that 5. I jog and walk at a brisk pace.
There you go, man.
I'm just playing around. That's huge, man. Congratulations on that. And I think that helps us.
It helps with trading.
It does.
Getting your steps in. It helps with trading. I promise. 100%. That much I can guarantee.
You read my mind. I was going to say that's a great exercise for a lot of our people out there. And we talk about that all of the time on the show. I have to convince Neil and Sharif to start working out at some point as well. So thank you, Ryan Paluna, for coming on the show.
Thanks,
one
Ryan.
more time, Benzinga Pro. That's Ryan. Ciao, my friend.
No, I mean, like the truth. Thank you, Ryan. The thing is, it's true. Like if you're trading, you're sitting in your desk a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you guys know, and anyone that trades and watches the markets, you got to be in your seat. You get up, you miss an opportunity. So we get it. It's really important to try and move around a little bit. Like whatever you do, like have your routine. And there's no right or wrong. I'm not one of those like, oh, you got to go do CrossFit. You got to go to the gym and like, whatever, man. Like whatever works for you and you enjoy is what you should do. You want to go for a walk? That's just as good as doing, you go for a nice walk every single day, or you could run like 5 every single day. 5 is a lot. Like I actually have to give credits for that. But even our floor manager, risk manager, Brankles has been running every single day. Like he goes in the middle of the day. I think it's worth it. So good look there. We do have a move to the downside that just happened. Lost some support on the future. I'm going to get to Starbucks in a quick second because that just got to a pretty monster level. But I'm now trailing Intel. It keeps on dumping in. And now we're through the pre-market lows here at 1945. That's where my trail is. And I'm just going to quickly show you why. There's a 15-minute. It's not just the morning lows. This $19.50 level was a pretty big support level going back into the 28th, 29th. Those 2 days, you bounced off 19.5. We're now rolling through that to the downside. And then what I wanted to get to quickly on Starbucks. Starbucks has been bleeding today, but where it is now is the post-C-suite shakeup, I guess, bottom, if that even makes sense. So remember, they didn't really pillage. They got the CEO from Chipotle, and that local bottom was like $91.50. It was breaking out, looking like it was going to make another move to break out just a week ago. Now you're potentially testing 91.5 again on Starbucks, so it's within spitting distance now that it just kind of broke and reclaimed this 92. So 91.5, that's like the Alamo for Starbucks. Underneath that's flat bottom break on the daily. As long as it can hold on to that, I think it's got at least some kind of a chance in here to catch some kind of a bid, although the market doesn't seem to want to catch any bids right now.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay, just looking here. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was looking at Sharif to see if he traded that win T. He did not. All right, so I don't know. I mean, we're still in Nvidia, and it's 350 now in the money. So we're just sitting here. It's 308. Ryan just talked about it, of course, and being that, power hour, he likes to trade that time. Yeah. I like to trade it. It's not my favorite time of day. Obviously, the morning would be, of course, but there's opportunities. This is why we went short Nvidia, was just for a potential pull down near the end of the day. And I mean, that's 350 now in the money and getting lower. The only mistake was getting out. I mean, it's continuously working out right now. This is going to be, hopefully, for all of you as well, a decent trade if you're able to have it. To that downside. And like we said here, you can join Real Trading as well, where you'll be able to trade real stocks and get opportunities to short like this. Make sure you check out our #1 sponsor here, Real Trading, as well. So look, It's been a great day. I don't know what else to tell you. Today we come back. Yesterday we talked about the demise of ourself yesterday, and I don't think there's anything more humbling than to talk about that and come back today. And again, like it or not, these are the trades that we have on. You can see there at the bottom what's been happening, and I just keep telling you, why I'm in these trades, what levels we look at, and when they don't fill up. And yesterday I feel like it was just a little stubbornness on Nvidia, keep going long. We weren't actually that bad. It's just everything we were doing was like, oh, there goes 30 cents. And even if you have 1,000 shares or something, that's $300, and you just spit, and next thing you know, it's 300 times 4, and you're down 1,200, something like that. So it's just like when that happens, and it doesn't feel pretty good. But you come back the very next day, and you're right back. Here's a huge move here on Palantir, and we trust the work that we put in, right? We talk to guys like Adam and all the guys in the chat there that are throwing down trades like this, and it's like Palantir 31. We trusted our level. We weren't here when it came up here. We talked about that. So I canceled the trade, but I came back and saw that as the high. So basically, just wanted to go short here against that high. So that worked out for us. Yesterday we're fighting the trend, and we're going short or going long when the trend has been down. We were lucky enough that when this was starting to happen, we'd already started the march down here in the futures. So we like this. We are underneath the 50-period moving average. Like things just made sense. And when things make sense, Neil, they also make dollars. We're now almost $4 in the money on Nvidia.
They do.
There it goes, man. We'll just continue to watch this. I don't even really. I feel silly not really having a target. I mean, we're here right now. We could get a piece out if we wanted to, right at this level. I mean, that was the wicked bottom. If that doesn't hold, then where do we go? Maybe we'll put a stop. Let's put a stop for a little bit then. All right, let's put a stop at 106. All right, so if we bounce off there, let's give it a chance to break it. But if it does come back up, I mean, maybe even a little bit higher, what about 106.50 then? 106.60, something like that, the 50-period moving average? I mean, we haven't broke that. It's been good. If we had sort of let this ride, we wouldn't have got out up here. We would have got out here, but a couple good outs again. All right, let's just use the 50-period moving average, 106.75. So right now we're in the money, 350. We just took another piece out on Palantir right here at the bottom. So let's just ride, right, and see what winds up happening. It's Nvidia.
Not like Russ.
350 in the money.
Yeah, don't ride like Russ, because Russ is going to ride in the wrong direction. But there was a couple of questions in there, and someone asked me about Clover. And Sean was saying things don't have to make sense, or they should make sense. I don't know. Like, I actually haven't checked to see why Clover is up today, but I'm gonna see if I can find some news on it. It's up 15% today. Okay. Clover. It could be as simple as it's got a short float and it had been bleeding for like 7 or 8 days in a row, and it caught a bit of a bid. I couldn't really find the catalyst for that. I was looking at Verizon as well. I just want to also say, hey, I got out in front of 34 on ASTS. And then the second, I get out, it looked like it was a good exit. I'm like, okay, that went kind of to plan. You put in another lower high and then dumped again. It then broke 34 all the way down to 33. So ASTS still up 13% on the day, but not much in the way of support coming back in. So maybe I can find something back into VWAP on that one. But Clover, obviously there was news aftermarket in here, and it's holding some of these gains. I just wonder where the volume is gone, because usually if Clover is up, I'm thinking, oh, it's squeezing, it's doing something crazy. It's actually underneath where it was in the post-market. Like, post-market support has turned into resistance here on Clover. So until it gets over 3, it's not terribly exciting for me here. So good day for Clover. I was also asked what's going on with Verizon. I know they're supposed to be speaking at a conference next week, or the CEO speaking at a conference next week, but this got dumped at 1:30. And here it was. So the news on that was at 1:30 specifically, they were nearing a deal for Frontier Communications. Deal for the Dallas-based fiber provider could be announced this week, potentially. So this is what the market thought of that deal, in my estimation, because that was the news. And then Verizon decided to drop $1.70 because they were potentially going to announce a deal with Frontier, Adara.
Bit of an indirect catalyst here for Clover Health, CLOV. From what I'm seeing, yesterday after the close, one of their subsidiaries here, Counterpart Health, did announce a multi-year agreement with the Iowa Clinic with regards to deploying some AI technology to Midwest providers. So AI-related headline for one of its subsidiaries, sending CLOV up about 15%. They have a market cap of around $1.2 billion from what I saw, short float of just under 6%, guys.
Well, it's, I sold all my Clover last week, 335, 339, something like that. It went up to like 3. That's why when you said like, where's Clover? I was like, oh God, don't tell me we made the mistake. I had no idea what.
No, your out was actually really, because it was down at 250 yesterday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever, it went up to $4. But yeah, I had no idea what was going on. There was a couple of days in a row there. We did notice there was some insider buying on Clover. We sold it for a loss. We didn't make any money on Clover, but again, raising some capital to put into Nvidia. No, we haven't bought any Nvidia on the dip yet. We're still waiting for that one. And what else we're waiting for is to tell you all about, we talk about this a little bit, Real Trading. Make sure you go there. This is the exact program that we're using. It's Real Trading. You'll use our exact software. If you are a resident of Canada, please step up and apply. I think it's pretty much full, but hit the apply button. What you could do is, not only can you do this from home, we also have a structured program here live at our office. So make sure you hit apply, let them know where you're located, whether or not you're located anywhere across continental Canada. I don't normally say it's normally like continental US, isn't it? Anywhere in Canada, I guess it's because Canada's not a continent.
You know, is it just because they have like a Hawaii?
Yeah,
and so therefore continental US
right,
excludes Hawaii.
Right, okay.
And does Puerto Rico count?
Last
What's the deal with Puerto Rico? And you know what? I'm just rambling.
What have I done? Okay, trade real money, gain real experience is the main idea here. You'll trade procreated lists as well as different names. I'm just watching out for this Nvidia because we do have our stop in there. We're going to wait to see it. It's starting to rally back a little bit. Join an exclusive community of like-minded individuals. That's the number one thing. You don't want to trade alone. We talk about that all the time. That's the benefit of trading on a floor and trading with like-minded individuals. You'll be trading both in simulated and in live. This is the idea here. It's a roadmap, baby. Start going with it immediately. You'll have proficiency targets. You'll be in simulation mode. You'll get a nice little program certificate. Still waiting for mine upon completion of that. Then you'll go live, man, and then you become a funded trader. So that's the idea at the end of it all. It is completely free. Depending on how your trading is going, it doesn't matter. It's completely free with a minimum of 8+ hours of trading a week. Get involved with Real Trading. And I feel like that's important to lead into this. So this is the top traders. So this is Real Trading right here. It's called Compare Your Profits. And the top trend traders, this is from yesterday. You know, I don't know, but I've been here 20+ years. I'm going to say today these numbers are going to be way bigger. Not just because the day that I'm having. There's people here that are red today that were green yesterday. Well, no, actually, we didn't have anybody green yesterday, but it doesn't matter. Different traders will trade different ways. We talked about this. We've seen bigger numbers. But look at yesterday. I'm just showing this to you. These are the markets that were traded by the traders. So yesterday, look at this. Someone traded the TSX and Amex. So that's probably the SPYs, right? Or some kind of an ETF, obviously, on Amex as well. So maybe a futures trader there. Amex. So definitely something going on there with GLD or something with, and that's the NYSE ARCA exchange. Then you have Amex, NASDAQ. Like, so, you know, futures trading, and just for those of you that are interested in futures trading, you can clearly see that we also can trade the futures. So you just go down here, you go NQ. Here it is, NQ. I don't know it's U, right?
It's U, right?
Here we go. So we can put on a futures contract, easy day. You know, live quotes, easy to go, the tightest spread there is. It's literally 0.25 pips, right? So it's right in there. It's 1 point per side. And then if you call up the ES, it's the same tick as well. More expensive, of course. But there it goes. Downside moves. You could trade this futures with us, or like I choose TQQ, or any equity, pretty much any equity tool that we have is available to trade. And so that's just given us a lot of opportunities here as we continue to talk about that with Real Trading. And I choose TQQ. I choose you. Kind of like Pikachu situation there. I choose Charmander. Is that a good one, Fabian? Charmander? Charizard? He's the best. Oh, I forgot his name right. Charizard. Okay, he's the best. Yeah, I think my kids used to like him. Chorizo. I don't love chorizo sausage. That would be my least favorite, to be honest with you.
No?
Least favorite.
Okay, but you still eat it.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm just-
barbecue. I mean, let's go.
Yeah, like
My least favorite sausage, chorizo.
I don't think I have a least favorite
Now the
sausage.
hate's gonna come.
They're all pretty delicious as
I'm
far
not
as
a
I'm
big,
concerned.
huge fan of honey garlic either, to be honest. Too sweet. Too sweet.
Oh, I love honey garlic.
Too sweet. Like the spice.
Oh, I love
some spice
honey,
in
I
there.
love honey garlic.
What's the matter there?
You gotta have variety. Well, you made Adair sad.
I shocked the world. No, I didn't say I didn't like it. It's not my least favorite. It's my least favorite.
Yeah, there's a big difference between
And
least
sometimes it's not made
favorite.
right either.
No, you know what? I will agree with that. Sometimes honey garlic is way too sweet. I've seen it overdone, but there's a big difference between you don't like something and it's not your favorite. Right? Like we're not disparaging.
Tell my kids
chorizo
to always
sauce.
say that. They never should say. They could say they don't prefer something.
Yeah, I say exactly. Be precise with what you mean, because if you say you don't like something, then then to me that means well, you just don't want to have it. At the end of the day, she's like, well, how come we don't eat this one? Well, you said you don't like it. Well, I prefer this to it. I'm like, well, you should have said you prefer this to that. And I prefer any day where we get apple fritters. I just want to say I was in a happy mood this morning, and shout out we had Matt this morning who dropped off a fantastic gift for the entire floor. There was like 2 boxes of donuts, which I thought was amazing, or sent in, I should say, which was obviously nice. And I'll probably have to do a little extra cardio to work that off.
It, of course, was not Matt. It was Mark.
Oh, it was Mark. Sorry, it was Mark R. It was Mark.
L.
I have Matt in the brain.
Got the L in there.
I have Matt in the brain because it's my in-law. Shout out to him. But just very, very quickly, asked ASTS. I'm fighting not to call it you know what, but ASTS just lost VWAP, and it's trying to consolidate for a breakdown under 33. Now it's successfully broken 36, 35, 34, and now it's looking for a 33 break in here. Although it did wick underneath to get to like 94 and come back, I think this level's a bit different from the others because this is where it broke out. Remember when Ryan was saying it broke out, expanded on VWAP, and then took out the pre-market high? That was here at 33. So I don't think this is as obvious of a breakdown level. I'd like to see it hold under like the way it held underneath VWAP. So just a little bit of a change there. Looks like Starbucks doesn't seem to want to get to where I thought there could be a bounce, which was $91.50. Starbucks is finding a bid at 32 all of a sudden. It broke 92 5 times and has managed to hold out. And it just tested again and then held 92 even. Maybe it doesn't want to get to that 91.5. That's just a number. It's just a number. I think it's finding support already in front of 92. I do like the bounce off that 91.5. You can't be a flat bottom break if you bounce off support every single time. And now that I'm saying all of that, I should have just pulled the trigger because even as I was just talking, you're seeing SPUCs catch a bit off that 92 level. I'll see if I can get picked up off of these lows here. It's like 91.90, 91.97 is the current low on Starbucks. They're catching a bit off the 92 level. And just to remind everybody, this is why this 92 area. C-suite shakeup, had a huge run. It's been holding the same line for quite some time now. If it breaks down underneath 91.5, I think it could really go. But until that happens, I'm going to look for bounces on Starbucks.
Yeah, there he is, Mark L. Thank you so much for being in the chat
Mark.
now and for sending those through. Yeah, anybody, send some Starbucks there. You get some going. Thank you very much for Mark L. for that one. Very, very kind of you for sure. All right, so we're changing the goalposts on Nvidia again. The net just keeps on climbing. We're going to be at our highest spot all day. I mean, as soon as we get out, it'll be our highest spot, so it doesn't really matter. We don't have any losing trades on or any losing symbols today, so it's been a good one. I mean, it's like knock on wood, but it's only 322. We said we continue to look at some names and talk about it. I did want to say something. As someone there put in the chat, you know what? I love like the breakfast burritos and stuff like that. And yeah, that like chorizo sausage in there would be lit, for sure. And I do agree with somebody else on there. Why would you ever add honey to garlic to make a sausage better? Not make any sense right there. Garlic is, again, one of those amazing, amazing ingredients that you can do so many things with. But adding honey to each their own. My kids love them, by the way. So. There we go. 106.05. Look, this 50 period keeps on changing, man. I just put a stop at 106.35 or whatever it was. I know Daryl there, another real trader there in the chat. Shout out to Daryl as well. And, you're short with me as well. This is what we're doing. Or I'm short with you. We're short together. 106.27 right there coming in. it's kind of funny how Ryan Fluna talked about how, you know, his trading partner, I have no idea, but how his trading partner was all over all of those sort of spaceship names, whatever it was. And we're
He's a nerd.
kind of the same thing as well, where I've been really hammering some of these big cap names today, and Neil's been on some of these lower ones. So again, it's all about, like, you know, figuring out where the magic sauce lies, you know. And for right now, we're just going to keep on watching out for this. We had a feeling on this turn there. I mean, we have it 4 times. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're all just fills. They're nothing more. We got reloaded there. We got reloaded a bunch of times. So nice move down. We obviously wish we took more than 70 cents initially. But right now, we are at 350. So we're just going to keep on watching the 50 period. It keeps on changing. I might just change it for one last time and put it at 106.25. Daryl and everybody else out there, let's see if it gets to the downside. Remember, in just 5 minutes, we'll get some early looks on the imbalances. That could completely change everything. So we'll get out of half of what we have left, and we only have left about 10% anyways. So it's not a huge trade. Well, it's a huge trade, but we already got some out at 107.50. That was a big level for us. And then that 107 was big. We wish we would have held more of it. We're going to try to do better on that in the future. But so far, so good. Good outs there on Palantir. We only have 5% left of Palantir. Doing a good job getting out today, and not waiting for like major events to hit. So right there, we're going to put a stop in at the 50 period moving average, which right now is 106.25. So let's do that. We'll get out of pretty much the rest of this, and then we'll just go from there and see if we can find anything else. So yeah, nobody around here makes 100K a day. We can confidently say
100K a day.
People, well, no, I mean, someone asked. I'll show the numbers.
I've seen 100K at Real Trading a couple of times. It's not like it never happens, but I mean, a day is a little bit different. Like you could imagine, like to find like opportunities like that. And it doesn't mean it's impossible. There's probably like algo firms out there that make 100K a day. Like it's a matter of scaling, right? So at a prop firm, that'd be incredibly impressive. You can see the numbers every single day if you're at Real Trading, and you'll be able to see. So very quickly, the lower high on Apple happened right in here. It's 220.5, so it confirmed the lower high the last time. It made a little bit of a mini attempt to break out, came back underneath. I got 35s. I want to see this get down to 220 and then VWAP retrace. So all that happened here on Apple is it tried to break out 221, did not, then broke consolidation in here. So the second it failed, 221 again, broke the consolidation, and the support level turned into the resistance level. And as long as it holds underneath the resistance level, I want to be short Apple down into 220 and then VWAP. Worth noting, the market was attempting to bounce on a 15-minute. You were getting a bit of a green candle. So you're working back and you're underneath. Why do I have this line? Interesting. I don't usually have lines on my futures chart, so I'm just going to delete it because I don't know why it's there. I probably had a reason for putting it in, but it wasn't today, and I don't remember, so I'm just going to get that out of the way because it's distracting me. No, you're trying to get a bit of a bounce in the market, and if this holds, I'm with the NASDAQ, if it holds prior support, then I think Apple, which does follow the market, has a very similar looking setup. I just like the level that Apple's in, and the fact that Apple never got green, couldn't break out of that opening range either, does lead me to it. ASTS is the other name we're looking at. It tried to break 33 again and bounced at 33 again. So still no breakdown at that next even dollar level on ASTS. I've got it up. If it does run through that, I'd like to be taking a short underneath 33. But every time it gets down here, this seems to catch a tiny little bit of a bid on ASTS. It's not the same way. Like when it broke 36, it was just clean. When it broke 35 here, like the second time through, like that one was actually pretty clean. 34 was clean. 33 has been a mess if you've tried to take that breakdown, at least in the last few minutes here. Let us know anything you guys are looking at. We're in 2 minutes. We're going to get an early look on the imbalances. Never know what you're going to get. Although the last couple of days, unless it's the month end, it's been Nvidia or there was NU because it was that big, I think it was a down weight, it was an addition, not a down weight. Big addition, it was NU.
NU, you want to talk about $100,000 days. People were messaging me some crazy nets that they made on NU that day when I showed the imbalances, and a lot of people are like, they just punched in when I punched in. I didn't punch in enough shares to make $100,000, but apparently other people did. And that just ripped up like 20 or 30 pennies. Not you're welcome from me, but I mean, we'll show those every day. So thank you for you guys for making sure that you watch us every single day, and we'll show those imbalances for sure. Look, I hope that we showed sort of our versatility a little bit here as well with trading U.S. steel today. Not only we were just talking about it, trading Palantir, right? Like pretty, again, not a low cap name, but a $30 name. AMD, again, 140. Amazon, very, very similar. Again, big major cap tech names with Nvidia as well, easily. I mean, Nvidia is such a huge name today for the floor. We've talked about that. Palantir here, and then U.S. Steel, like a news-based name. I wasn't even, we definitely missed the news, but we come in here and I just offer enter. Take the short, and we had an out, so it was a little irresponsible, but we had heard the news and we'd seen this before. We had seen the collapse of U.S. Steel before on similar news, and I don't exactly remember the date. It must have been right here. And then it continued even the next day. So I was like, this story is definitely not over. It's if anything, just started. So there it is, nice downside move there as the buyout between Nippon and U.S. Steel becomes in question. And there's nothing wrong. The buyout hasn't been canceled or anything. It's just...
It said it might, but it might be. That's the whole
Kamala
point.
Harris and company do not support really. And you had to know that was coming, right? I mean, they're not going to support U.S. Steel being bought by a Japanese company.
Well,
so we'll
no, I'm joking.
Right? Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I was just kind of being facetious.
Yeah, so there you go. So a nice downside move there for U.S. Steel as it continues. We have 5% of Palantir left, so don't worry about that. We got a great out down here when we came back into the days. I don't know, is that even the day's low? No, this little low right there. We were sitting in front of it, then we were sitting at it. So good cover there with 5% left of this trade. And then I'm just living the good life right now. We're waiting for Nvidia to see what winds up happening. I have not moved that order, although it's at right now, Daryl and company, it's at 106.11 or so for the 50-period moving average. I'm still going to give this to 106.25. So if it breaks that quarter level, then we will get out. Good spin there, Michelle Lloyd. Money bag, money bag, money bag.
It's been a hot minute since those were actually winning for me.
Yeah.
So I said I would show you guys the early look. Nothing. TRP, AT&T, Lumen. I feel like Lumen's there every single day, but remember Lumen's pretty cheap, so 700,000 doesn't matter. Walmart's a little bit of a buy. You guys can see there's not much out there. Oddly enough, NU is there, but a very, very small. That is a small fraction of what NU was on Friday. It was 90 million to the buy side. Now it's 370,000, so I don't think I'm telling you anything crazy. That's not going to move the market. I would suggest none of these are very enticing. So I'm going to stay away. I think at 330, at 350 when the imbalances drop, it's been a good bet to look at Nvidia if you're looking for something with a big imbalance. But then keep in mind this. I've been bamboozled by Nvidia because it was a day I was looking to punch it. It came out at 1 million. And then a minute later, it was like 4 or 5 million. Like it updated almost within the first minute to a bigger imbalance. And then there was like a secondary push. So just because it comes out at a certain number, it's a live update. It's constantly changing. There's certain times where you get bigger changes, like 355, you can expect a bigger change a lot of times then. But just because it comes out a certain direction, the imbalance, it can always change. And you might miss the trading opportunity if you're not peeled at it. And I made a huge mistake that day because I know the second it came out a million, I'm like, oh, that's nothing on Nvidia. My hands were off the keys. I wasn't even looking at it. And then maybe 30 seconds later, it was a 4 million imbalance. And there, in fact, was a move. So went for Apple off 220.50. It just broke. The second it got above that 220.50, I'm like, no, I want to be out. I only wanted the short consolidation for it to break into VWAP. As long as it does that, we'll be out of it. I traded it at VWAP. I traded it on this lower high. That's pretty much it. I do still think Apple in the higher time frame doesn't look, I know it made a turn today. I don't think it looks very bullish. You're still looking like a bit of a trend down in Apple. Not saying it's broken or anything like that, but I do think that this consolidation that it was in broke down and now is lost to 50-period moving average. So I'm more preferring, I should say, to look for shorts in this until it regains a 200-period moving average, which is exactly what it rejected today, 222. It's had a good day today, no question about that. CompuCare team, where do you guys get this imbalance locator? It's built in to pPro8. So here at Real Trading, you log into pPro8. It's one of the, obviously I have charts and different widgets. You have quote boards. All these are different aspects of the trading platform. So this is built in the locator, and then it's just in the market data feed. So if your broker doesn't carry it, and you have direct market access, you can ask them if they have it available, because they're probably, any decent broker is likely getting the data. It's just whether or not they have the product available to you. So it's market wide. It's not meant to be kept secret. They publish imbalances so that people can pair them off. That's the entire reason that imbalances exist, and displaying them publicly is so that you don't have crazy price action and people can come in and take the other side of the trade. So it's not like some big gigantic secret. We just decided to show it to everybody so you have that tool available to you.
All right, so as the day comes into a close, yeah, we'll wait for those market imbalance indicators to come through and what a difference a day makes, right? We talked about yesterday, we didn't have any green traders on the floor, and today it's 50-50, so we'll go awesome on that one. 10 traders on the floor, 5 positive, 5 negative today. That's great for a prop floor. And I mean, talk about odds of traders. That's a good one. And of course, you don't measure it based on dailies. I'm just letting you know how the day's been going. Yesterday was definitely a tough one. And then just to show you, if we don't have anybody green yesterday and half of them are green today, it's battling back, right? That means that there are a lot of traders in that position today that have battled back, and we'll see if we can continue that tomorrow. You don't get paid on one day. You know, you got to put together a month when you're trading prop, and that's how we work here at Real Trading. You get paid for the aggregate of the month, so whatever you make for the 20 days. At the end of that, you'll get your cut, whatever that may be. So yeah, today, much better today than it was the first day of the month, that is for sure. All right, look, we almost got stopped out there. Look at that 50-period moving average. It came right in. We were about 10 cents away from getting stopped out right there. It comes up to 106.10. Now, I'm changing it, Mr. Darryl, 106. So right now, we will switch our stop. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly the way I should be trading. Trend, trend, trend. We talk about that all of the time. Over at the screen, to Dara.
Take a look here at some of these outsized moves on the S&P 500. One of them is going to be Intel, near low of days. In case you missed the story here, we actually did have the CFO at this conference held by Citigroup saying that the company is, quote, leaving no stones left unturned with regards to potential cuts. We've talked about their workforce cuts, but they also said they're not expecting any money to come from the U.S. CHIPS Act until the end of 2024 in any significant way. Also, Reuters reporting earlier today that their manufacturing business is having some issues due to some issues with Broadcom tests. AVGO reporting tomorrow. Next up here, we have Palo Alto Networks, PANW. This one headed to the downside. We did have disappointing earnings from Zscaler ZS in that space, day one today, but also had this company closing its acquisition of the SaaS assets from IBM. Last but not least, nice upside move for LVS, actually getting a price target decrease here from Morgan Stanley, but maintaining a buy rate or an overweight rating. So interesting look here for LVS near high of day, guys.
Yeah, strong look for LVS, and as you mentioned, not getting any of that CHIPS Act money until a little bit, significantly until a little bit later. They're gonna need that money. They need that cash. Try to keep politics out of it. But what's interesting, though, one of the few things that actually gets agreed on, I think, by both sides in the U.S. is, you know, that they don't want to necessarily have all chip production or the majority of chip production be outside just for security reasons, right? Like, think of all the chips that go into for military applications. It is something that's, I think, a little bit bipartisan. So I think they're eventually going to get that money, but it doesn't really matter for Intel. Like I said, they're nasty on the chart. I keep moving my trail. You can see it consolidating off the bottom here. So instead of out at 45, it just went down into this mid 30s in here with only about 20 minutes to go. Peanut, yeah, there are some earnings that we got to pay attention to. I just saw C3AI earnings. It's not out. I mean, it's 3:30. C3AI reports after market today. Now, with the market pulling back the way that it is, I'm just going to quickly show you a daily chart on C3AI. I'm still not the most familiar. I don't really know what they do. It doesn't really matter. But if these guys don't deliver, I think you're going to see that $20 again. Like, it's only 15%. We were at $23 and consolidating. If it squeezes, there's so many great things that can happen. I would actually prefer them to somehow blow it out of the water and then just go squeeze into the upside. But this is just screaming to some massive support at this 20 level. And if it does gap down, like underneath 20 looks very, very juicy on C3I. It's a 23% short float. We'll find out after the bell tonight. We'll have Chris Brecher on. It's C3AI going to be for earnings. And again, the way that things have been tested, like if Nvidia is going to get sold off and go into bear territory, if the AI plays are all sort of getting beaten down a little bit here, you got to ask yourself how that's going to bode for AI, if there's even anything they can point to negatively.
I put my stop. Yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting report there. I mean, you know, just a software company at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to matter too much for Nvidia or what that report brings. But you know, if they blow it out, I think it'll be a nice story. I think you have to be disappointed as an Nvidia investor today, because I'm not disappointed at all as a trader. I think it's given great opportunities, and we've talked about that today. But you know, the fact that we were at 110 there, and that was exactly, it's so. I remember watching it when it was up here. We had just gone off the air, and it was like I was still in it and thinking that we were going to break 110. When we did not, we got out on a 109.50 break back down lower, which turned out to be fantastic. And then the reload, and then this is why today we have just we basically nailed the top, then we nailed that, then we nailed the top there. So it's easy to say like today is a very good day, because it is. But at the end of the day, that 110, I could have made everything even way more than what we had lost yesterday, just simply by putting a couple shares right here at 110 and just talking about an easy day trade. You know, breaking 110, you break it, I get out. I don't know whether or not you give it 20 cents or whatever. That's the limit there on that kind of a trade. So the fact that we didn't do that, I am a little bit, you know, disappointed. I don't think is the right word. You know, you could always do better on your trades. We do talk about that. It's just more like I should have done better there on that trade. So yeah, I guess I am a little bit disappointed on that one. So yeah, we'll just wait to see. Could have shorted that. Our stop is still now at 106. If it breaks above that, we will get out of what we have left, and that's going to be half. So we'll wait to see if that comes through. Now for Nvidia, a little bit of a play. We did good on Palantir. I just wanted to bring that was this to everybody's attention as well. Palantir, our stop is going to be 55. So if we break above that, then we'll get out. And I am bidding 37 or something down here to see if we get that same fill that we got before, although that was 38. So maybe that will come in. Just to check back in on X, we only have 10 minutes till these imbalances come out. Unless there's something to scalp right now, what is Google at? I don't want to be in something for too long, GOOGLE, because the thing is like these imbalances could hit and then snap. The stock goes one way. Google's still red on the day, which is fine. Nice bounce off 156. We talked about this earlier today. This name has to hold down here. That's the 200 period moving average. I'm not buying any more of it. I'm already in this name, obviously. But right now, Google down here at the 200. Let's see if it does hold. This could slip up. And if it does, I think it's, 150, we did hit that there on August 5th. Not that that matters, but that was a level there that's been seen before. We'll have to watch out for that one.
You know what else about Google?
Yeah.
It's not just the 200 period on the daily. It's also at the 50 period on the weekly. So like this is like double barrel level 155 for Google. So I haven't dip bought Alphabet in any of this move, but I'm looking at, when I look at this weekly, like look at how this is respected in both directions. The 50 period on the weekly for Alphabet going back to right here. It's like March of 2022. April of 2022. Underneath, rejected. The second it breaks, look at it consolidate above and then break out, then hold, bounce once. If it closes this week above, I'm going to be a buyer, but this is a weekly chart, right? So it's completely meaningless on Wednesday that it's quote unquote bouncing off the 50 period moving average. You don't know that until Monday of next week, whether it's actually done that. So yeah, it's not always that you'll get moving averages that line up like that, but a significant moving average support for Alphabet on the daily, significant moving average support on the weekly. Okay, so ASTS, we still have 15 minutes to go. ASTS still hasn't broken 33, but it's getting down there and getting close again. So like I said, I tightened my stop on Intel. This is the one I wanted to break that even dollar. Probably should have had the 34 break, because if the pattern was 36, 35 did it twice, and then 34 broke. It's not a defense, it's just the truth. I didn't take the break because it was right in front of VWAP. I didn't want to be shorting it essentially at VWAP as it was heading in, but it broke anyway. So 33, we'll see if it has a chance to go. What did I just drop? I just dropped my phone in my pocket. Yeah, 33, we'll see if it goes. But if it's 350 or like 348, 349, and it still hasn't happened, then I'm not likely to be in that breakdown trade. You want there to be time for it to run. I'm going to have to get up to the desk. the consolidation is nice. It's confirming the weakness underneath VWAP, but it's no good if it can't break down here on ASTS, unfortunately. And Starbucks, just another quick note on Starbucks, because I had mentioned I was on the bid at 92, looking for this break. Well, it broke, went all the way into 92.40, which was the last consolidation zone. I didn't get the long when it was down there. So now that it's back here on the weekend, I'm not just weak end of the move, I'm not going to sit on the bid. A little bit late in the day for that. It would made the break off the 92 even. I was thinking it would be 91.5, where the support was on the 15-minute, but Starbucks kind of already did the move. If you got it, great. If you don't have it, I'm not just going to get on the bid because I liked it 20 minutes ago. It's changed a bit because the market bounced, and now it's heading right back into the lows. So no more strength in, well, at least for now, in Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks, good little swing trade there. We are out of the majority of that one. We only have one more. We're not even here on Friday. We have one more day to go, and then we have a tournament. Hockey tournament season has started
already.
Yeah, they've only had one practice.
Wow.
She's on the ice all the time, but there's only been one practice so far.
That's intense.
Very intense. It's up in Brampton for the first couple of games here on Friday. The big one there, the CAA Center.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that should be very, very fun to go to that one. I think our first game.
Yeah, there's nowhere else it would have been.
Yeah, no. We played in a lot of. No, Brampton has a lot of rinks. So.
Yeah, but the CAA is the.
No. Yeah, well, they don't. There's no fans, right? Okay, so Nvidia right here, $3 now. Oh, we did get. So we did get stopped out. Well, not stopped out. We did get out of that piece that we said if it does break above 106. So we will just like chicken dinner winner. Oh man, I was saying we had that jerk chicken for lunch. We had barbecue chicken last night, so I was like, oh man, of course it has to come the same food. That's so funny. Like some days my wife will we don't even have fish and chips that often, and the next day I'll be fish and chips here. There was that funny day when it was broccolini she made, and then the next day it was broccolini here. We of course get the salads, and the new caterer.
Don't have to worry about that.
The old caterer is back. I know I like the salads from this guy here, so pretty happy with that. All right, so again, out of some Nvidia, we'll see what winds up happening. Our trade on Palantir will come in and come out once that's hit. I was going to look. We talked about Affirm yesterday being the short at 46, and we looked back, and that's exactly where it went. Coinbase today we didn't look at, but I can see that it's nice that crypto is back up to 58 right now, so that could be something to look at. We wrote down Mara down at $14.75, $15. We can have a look. But Affirm really has fallen off of that level. I mean, yesterday was the day that we had thought that this could have possibly, and of course, it doesn't get to 46, but it gets to 45, I guess. Yesterday, we had marked it down. I think it was on our sticky note there for 46. It's because if you go back, there's going to be a 46. Anyways, I think you have to go. It must be on the daily, not the 20-minute chart. But anyways, a level up here for Affirm. And maybe it was even the day before. Just wasn't going to get to that high. Oh, here it is. Yeah, right into here. So here's 46. Okay, so I knew. Not going as crazy as sometimes I think I am.
Double tap 40.
I'm going more crazy. Yeah, but right there. So again, we looked at 46 there. I was like, if it gets there, you can give it, because if in Affirm, I got to give this $1 probably, right? And that top there is 48. So it was a difficult trade to take out 45, but there it is. Nice sort of top there, coming right back into that area. The same reason we went long Starbucks, long Nike, all that. Zoom back out. Neil mentioned weekly charts. I think that if you do that, you can get a good idea of some possible support areas. It doesn't really mean anything. Stocks will make up their own mind. And then often, because of how stocks are priced, they're priced to perfection. So it's almost like a story has to hit that you're not thinking about in order to get it to move off some of these levels. So that can always happen. I mean, look, see Boeing, right? There can't be a week and a half without a story.
You know, they caught a bid
on
today.
BA. Did they catch a bid today? See, there you go. So that's another example of what you never know.
Up 1 2/3 on, well, okay, almost 1 2/3. It's obviously changing every single minute. The bad news, in addition to missing some data in there, is they pulled back, went right into 166. And then the worst news about Boeing is it probably bounced because it was at a 52-week low. So it kind of wicked the bottom at 160, didn't follow through, and there's the support at the 160 level holding up. So that's good and bad. Good in that it bounced off support. Bad that it was there in the first place for Boeing. So yeah, it's now 348. Probably, I mean, Astis doesn't look like it wants to break 33 here. Certainly running out of time to do so. I guess he could have scalped it off VWAP. I was looking for the breakdown of this consolidation, because to me, if it lost 33, you had a chance, like you could get down into here at 31, but it's not falling apart. Sometimes it's pretty bullish when the breakout price from the morning ends up holding. Like there's your pre-market highs, there's your breakout price just before 11 o'clock, and now that's holding in the afternoon on the way back in after successive breakdowns on ASTS. It would be very, very spicy if this would have taken out $40. There's a lot of people, I'm going to imagine a lot of people are caught off sides if this thing can get back to highs, because you have to think with the price to sales, and it was like a $2 stock going into $40. When this started to pull back underneath 30, for it to get underneath 30 for a couple of days, if it were to retake 40, that would be a nice little squeeze play. You got to break out levels for stocks to squeeze. Just ask DJT about that. So 1 minute to go until we get the imbalances, not to bag on DJT, but you know, if you can't break out, no matter how much it would go up, if you can't break out the next level, then the chart ends up looking like this on DJT. And it's not to pick on them. It's just I just know when I look at this chart. Can we come to the chart for a second? There we go. Like if you don't break out resistance, like here, couldn't hold above a resistance level, trend down. Couldn't hold above a resistance level, you can't break it out. You can't break it out, then you're trend down. Now what happens when you do break a resistance level? There's one right here. Break it and rally. So squeeze names, got to get through resistance to squeeze. If you don't, then the short sellers are just going to keep leaning on it until the cows come home. So 10 seconds to go to the imbalances. I don't have to tighten up the stop on Intel because it's already there. I'm expecting maybe we get something on Nvidia. We've seen it before, but keep eyes glued to it for at least 30 seconds to a minute after. Sometimes the imbalance comes out as nothing. It is 4 million to the buy side on Nvidia. Can you get 106s still? No, you cannot. It's 106.40 already. So 4.2 million, now 3.7 million to buy. Intel is a small buy. Probably just worth punching out of that. 1.2 million is a small buy for them. Walmart's a buy at $1 million. Cisco's a buy at $1 million. What else do we have here? Apple's a buy at just under 1 million shares. So I'm going to suggest it's probably an overall buy. Yep. The market is $2 billion to the buy side. NASDAQ, 675 million. The Dow, 780. The Mag 7, 455. But the biggest is Nvidia. 3 million buy imbalance into 333 million shares. It doesn't sound so big when you compare it to the volume on the day, does it?
It does not. We will get out at 50 on Palantir there. We just punched out on Nvidia, 106.50 or whatever it was, 106.50, I guess. Right there was breaking that level. We had 10%. We got it. So we had 5% left, or maybe I think it was even less than 5% left on Nvidia for that little turnaround. I didn't even have it up. Let's just go like this. There it is, 2.1 million, as Neil just mentioned there. Is there anything else that's of interest? Not really. BAC, that name, I think, continues to work, no?
Isn't Warren Buffett selling that at every chance he gets?
Not successfully if he is, but I mean, it's right now, it's okay. It's at these highs, been up for a little bit here. Yeah, nice move there for the upside on BAC. I mean, again, going to look a little different, right? I mean, some of these stocks look different every single day. We'll see if BAC could break above this $41 mark. That could be the wall. So we'll see. Maybe, as Neil mentioned, man, if he's selling it, you know, you're going to see walls put up. So we'll see. A lot of people talk about put walls and all this. All right, I guess we have to, I'm hearing some Nvidia news. Well, they have not been subpoenaed by the DOJ, apparently.
Okay.
I'm going to go long on that news just to see what happens. We'll see, 106. We'll just put a stop a little bit lower than that one. Might not matter, 106.
Well, that's counter to what was said this morning, correct?
I guess that story was that they had been subpoenaed.
That's what I thought it was.
So anyways, we're going to go long on that news right now. Sounds good enough to me. Not something from the DOJ, different than yes. Something. So
the story this morning was that they had been subpoenaed. Bloomberg had reported that they'd been subpoenaed, and that was the story this morning. So this is them rebuffing that story.
Yeah, so we'll just take this just for a trade. I mean, it's going to flip over at 55. It doesn't seem like it's really reacting. That's from the Benzinga Pro platform. We want to give a shout out to Ryan Faluna and Benzinga Pro. Hearing that now, we just went long at 70s here. I mean, we're going to get out if it breaks 40s or 50s down to the downside. We'll just let this one float and see if there is something there. But that's what it is. So they're just refuting that story. So we'll take a shot here into the end of the day and see if we can't just sort of, we've already have no LFT. We're at our highest spot. We did give up some realized profits because of where Nvidia was, but here it comes up to the upside right now. I'm offering 107.15. Like, let's just see a 107 break. We could have just taken out. We could have just got there at 107, but for right now, it's pushing around. It's Nvidia. I'm going to assume Adara has more.
This actually just being circulated around social media now, but from what I'm seeing, this was initially coming out here from the Nvidia spokesperson at the same time as the imbalances here at 3:50 p.m. So 3:50 p.m. Nvidia spokesperson saying the company has not been subpoenaed by the DOJ, contrary to that Bloomberg report we got after the close yesterday around 4:30 p.m. With the Bloomberg reporting that the DOJ has subpoenaed Nvidia. So again, basically saying they've not been subpoenaed. This coming out actually a little bit before it circulated around social media, initially reported at 3:50 p.m., guys.
Yeah, and Paul in the chat there saying the whole sell-off last night, I mean, I don't know if the entire move, but significant portion of that aftermarket move in Nvidia was because of that Bloomberg story. Like it sold off into 105. Like it closed at 108 and sold off into 105 on that news story. So again, good that it's, you're getting the good juice here, but you always have to keep your ear to the ground because sometimes something gets reported and, it is what it is. I think that could be bullish for Nvidia going into tomorrow. I did trail out of, like I said, I would get out of Intel, tighten the stop up when the bounces came out of buy. It didn't even go up. It went up 3 cents, maybe 5 cents. I got out and now it's right back into the low. So they tend to not care about the imbalances on Intel in either direction. It just gets paired off every single time. Although I would venture this. If they kick them out of the Dow, that day Intel's imbalance, or whenever the heck they would do it, that day maybe it would matter a little bit more if there was an index action. That's when you want to sink your teeth into it.
Oh, wow, yeah, that would be, oof.
Well, it's not crazy talk, is it?
I think it does come out of
Yeah, because at some point...
I say, wow, that imbalance would be...
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, it's been around so long and has been a stalwart for such a long period of time. Like, how many funds are wrapped up into it because it's still in the Dow? The second it's not in the Dow anymore, I mean, every trader and their mother, if that's a delete, is going to be trying. Like, it's the same way new was a big buy bounce. You get 50 million sell balance on Intel or whatever it is. I'd be excited. But it's past 355. I just make sure I've canceled all my stops. Obviously ASTS, like I said, is not going to make that move for us. It's going to probably break. It'll test 33 in the aftermarket, and I did still have a stop over there, so I'll just go ahead and cancel that. So yeah, ASTS, good move. I think it's great that it held on to 33. I was looking for a flat bottom break. I like the fact that it's held 33 for the bulls because that's the breakout price from earlier. Ryan was on this one talking about VWAP. He had that at 31 when it got back through VWAP. So I'm just going to make sure we get locked and loaded. I got to get up to the desk. I know I said C3AI, but there's also HPE and ChargePoint as well. There's other names.
There was some other names.
I only mentioned C3AI because it was top of the brain with the move in AI and all that, the AI names and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get to the desk. We've got Chris Brecher on in the aftermarket show tonight. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes, everybody. Hopefully, it would be nice if U.S. Steel would do that every single day. But now that if the deal gets scuttled, there's not much left for them at this point. Like, it's like, how much worse can the news get than what it already is?
How much is a pint of ice cream in Toronto? I don't know, $6.
Huh?
I don't know.
That's a kind of random question.
Yeah, someone's asking. Oh, they asked, Erie Pages asked me what my favorite ice cream was. I said pistachio gelato because, being in Rome there, I know you're going later on. Gelato is the jam. I really take a liking to pistachio. I like hazelnut. But for just, French vanilla is a pretty good, just generic ice cream, I think. I don't know. I like the pralines and cream, like where a little bit of nut action up in there. I like that. You know what I like ice cream sandwiches. All right, 357. All right, so we took that shot on Nvidia. It was nothing really. We lose there, breaks through 50s, and we get out. So there goes Nvidia. We tried that, a little 20-cent hit there on that DOJ news. And the thing is like, now apparently CNBC is reporting the same thing. So Bloomberg gives it to us. It doesn't really seem like it does too much here after that. So I don't know. If there's no movement on that, then I don't think that's a big story. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Nvidia. I'm pretty flat on my opinion on the market. I mean, the market right now is down 0.01. Just a quick check on some of the different indexes today, sectors today. U.S. oil, wow, nice little downside move for oil today. Down 2% goes oil. So this is USO though, right? Might be a little different, light sweet crude, but there's USO down 2%. Let's check out if gold was saved today. And again, the NASDAQ's pretty flat, right? Down 0.1. So we'll say the equity market's pretty flat here, but it's GLD right now, flat as well. We talked about IWM. I think this might be the worst of them here today. Only down 0.11, so maybe that's wrong. The S&P 500, if we come over here. Yeah, the S&P 500 right now is down 0.12 as well. So gold, oil, we talked about Bitcoin right here to 58,000. Let's check in on IBIT right now to get a rough estimate of where Bitcoin is today as opposed to where it was yesterday. IBIT and Bitcoin right now only up 0.33% as we look over there. You know, the one thing that I looked at today with Ryan there, XLRE, this is the real estate trust, so this is up 0.32 as well. This reminds me of XLE, which of course is the oil services right there, down 1.37, so not down as much as oil, but still a nice downside move for XLE. You know, Dr. Copper, COP, right there, X. We can find out what's happening with the copper gold miners. They were down yesterday. Not sure about today. Relatively flat with no volume coming through on copper. I mean, there's so many ETFs. MSOS. Let's have a quick look at marijuana names. We had that news from Trump yesterday. Marijuana names flat again. So we're just reviewing some of the sectors here, as we like to do, obviously, on the show, as there's many of you that are in many different names that we may have not gone over. XLF, one of the best names around as far as financial ETFs are concerned, one that we always look at. A nice move for XLF, up 0.1 today. With only 15 seconds left, it's countdown time, so let's run that now. There we go, 10 seconds. There's Adara. You see uranium up as well, 1.5%. XLE's down. She's dancing. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Utilities also upside. Cancel all of your script orders. We have done that. Thank you so much for everyone joining us once again today. What a fantastic day. I want to thank our guest Ryan Faluna for coming through. I want to thank all of our sponsors again today for coming through. Trade the Pool, Real Trading Campus, Real Trading coming through, Benzinga coming out, Moo coming, Justin. We want to thank Justin for yesterday. Great topics there. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Ramin, Fabian, Brendan. Yeah, we'll thank Brendan. Thanks to Sharif as well. Adara, always killing it. We saw her today. Big shout out to everybody part of the Trader TV Live family. All right, without any further ado, thanks Bears versus Bulls. No, I want to forget you. Let's go over to the desk. It's Mr. Roberts' neighborhood.
Good. Thank you very much, Sean. Yeah, I feel like I should have the cardigan on that. I should have the cardigan on because it's cold up here at the desk. But it was a hot and cold day for the markets. You went from red to green to red on both the NASDAQ and the ES today. So it was a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of day. You had a lot of strength in some names like Nvidia and some of the chip names off the open, catching a bit of a bid and trending to the upside. And then we lost a bit of those gains at the end of the day. A stock that was weak like Apple ended up the day relatively strong. So that was a big change there. And we talk about that lower than expected JOLTS openings today. We'll see what happens on Friday. So mixed reaction to JOLTS. On Friday, we get some more employment data and we can see what's going on with the overall economy then and how we react to news. I mean, good news is supposed to be good now. Bad news is supposed to be bad again. We are waiting for some earnings after market. We've got C3AI. We're expecting them at 4:05, although it might be out early on C3AI. I haven't seen anything on the wire. Let me just refresh it because I do feel like C3AI is starting to make some power moves in here. We're expecting them at 4:05. We will see if I don't see the numbers out. Nothing just yet on AI, but maybe it's just a simple case of the usual, some fat fingers early or some people deciding they want to get a kickstart on earnings because nothing is out yet after market on C3I, so just going to have to be patient for it. Be careful trading the aftermarket. If you're ever trading the aftermarket on earnings, at a bare minimum, have an idea that they're out. Unless your intention is to somehow guess what they are going to be. We're expecting a move of 14.3%. Last time it was 19. So the fact that it just went a couple of points here, not a very big deal on C3I. We'll let you guys know when the numbers come through for them, and also HPE's coming out at 4:05. We do have CHPT. They will be out at 4:10. It was a nasty day for some energy. Is looking at the sector recap before we get into some earnings. USO down a couple of points. You had UNG down 3 points in here. Not looking good. XLE was down 1.5 points on the day. So pretty rough day for energy. And the real bad news for XLE, yikes, 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 losing the 200 period moving average. There was this slight looking trend break just last week on XLE, and that's been given up. Retesting potentially some lows here from back into August. It's like August 5th was that bottom. Could be retesting those lows. It's a bit of a reversal happening in energy. It was starting to pick up a bit after this recent pullback, but XLE not looking very healthy as we speak. Still waiting on C3AI, as mentioned. It's a big short squeeze name. I do expect there should be some fireworks on it. But if you're looking at what happened today, I find it very interesting when the market, you get all this energy to the downside, and TAN decides it's trying up 1%. It's on the good side today. I mean, silver had a good day. Uranium had a good day. Wheat had a good day. All these randos decided that they were going to be green today. But I keep an eye on this because a lot of people are like, oh, when's the bottom going to be? Well, it's done one thing. Made a bottom and then held a higher low. And once it can take out the 50 and 200, this could be a nice little interesting turnaround point for the solar ETF. They've been getting beaten up. You know, rates are coming down. That's going to be good in the general sense for the solar plays. I'm not telling anybody to go long that until it's back above the major moving averages. You can just be happy that it's not making some fresh lows as far as I'm concerned. So we're about to hit 405 in here. As I said, HPE, C3AI, those are the first two that we're expecting to come through. HPE's implied move is 9%. So it's at $18 right now. So if it were to go to 1960, you go up here in the daily, that's pretty much, it is exactly, like the 50-period moving average is the expected move up on HPE. And it looks like we got C3AI first. C3AI, yeah, in shocking fashion, C3AI is down 13%. You can want squeeze names to go up, but that doesn't mean they're going to. So the numbers are out here. Total revenue, $87 million. That's 21% up year over year. That's not bad. Subscription revenue was up 84% year over year there. Not seeing any comparables with this just yet. Cash reserves, $760 million. They had a loss of 50 cents per share. Their non-GAAP loss was only 5 cents per share. They did have a gross profit. I'm not seeing anything with regards to comparisons just yet for C3AI, but it doesn't matter. The stock is absolutely tanking. You're now down 12% on C3AI. And to me was going to be the concern, was that if you're selling off in the AI names and with the AI names and the chip names in a general sense, how's a company like C3AI going to fare if there's anything to point to negatively? And you are seeing it test underneath $20 as we speak. We're mentioning that $20 level on the live show in the afternoon. It's not the last line of support, but it is the last line for this year of support, and we are underneath that. So not a good look for C3AI. Yeah, now you're seeing, so quarter over quarter, they did have slowing growth on a quarterly basis. Not a great look for C3AI. I don't see anything yet on HPE. We are expecting them out as well at the same time. At 405, they should be out. I'm seeing, no, not yet. No, nothing yet. There we go. Now HPE just dropped the numbers. It's not moving a heck of a lot here. So HPE was down initially, now back to the upside and just sort of hanging in the range. But they reported 50 cents a share, beating estimates by 6%. 2% increase over earnings from the same period last year. Their quarterly sales, $7.7 billion. That also was a beat, although a very slight one, 0.6% of a beat. That's 10% increase over sales of $7 billion for the period last year. So Hewlett-Packard with small beats here on the top and bottom lines. I'm not seeing anything with regards to I want to see some guidance out of HPE. I'm not seeing anything with regards to guidance out of HPE just yet. Here we go. Now there's a guidance just dropped on HPE. They're seeing 52 to 57 cents versus 55 estimates. So that's right at the midpoint. Revenue, 8.1 billion to 8.4 billion versus estimates of 8.17. So that's actually, that's the midpoint slightly higher than estimates. Full year, 192 to 197 versus 192. Again, that's the top end of the range. So it's slight beats on top and bottom. It's slight beats for the guidance on HPE, and it's down a point. It tried to break 19 even, couldn't even get there. The expected move on HPE would have taken it upside to $19.60, and that's a 50 period on the daily. They're not buying any of this. Well, when I say they, I mean the market right now is not buying any of this. So slight beats apparently not good enough for them. That's not a great sign. Now you're starting to tank. Now they're starting to sell it off here on HPE, down to $18. So doesn't matter whether you beat. There's no such thing as good or bad earnings. There's just now you're doing it again. It's not even Fabian doing it to me. Now we have Ramin messing around like camera 1, camera 2. Well, you know what? It's a kerfuffle for HPE. Do not get married to where the earnings went. Just because it's a beat or a miss doesn't mean the stock has to go in that direction. I think we're seeing some concern here in HPE, and it's probably has to do with the sector. C3AI is trying to catch a bit off $20. It's not doing a very good job of that. They're still dropping pretty nasty here. Now we have finally seeing some, do they have the guidance out on this? Nope, this is just a repeat of what we already knew. I'm still not seeing any guide from C3AI. Not that it matters, they're still down around those lows. Not a very good start here for C3AI and HPE, both of them working to the downside and not looking very good here. I think C3AI might be pretty interesting to trade tomorrow if it can hold underneath the $20 level, but keep in mind, it's finding a consolidation at prior support on the daily. That can be a pretty big deal. So looking pretty nasty. Charge point looks like they are now out. Just seeing 109 in revenue. That's not a heck of a lot. Margins for charge point, 24% versus margins of 26. That's not even moving here. So charge, it's a cheap name. It's got a 27% short float. I thought this would be moving around a little bit here. They did guide revenues of 85 to 95 million. Obviously, yeah, that's not a huge number when they're looking at second quarter revenues of 109. So they're guiding to lower revenues here on ChargePoint, but this is not moving in the aftermarket. You're essentially flat on a $2 name, a sub $2 name. That's not going to do it. You need a squeeze name like that, 26% short float, $2. That's got to be going double digits. So we don't care what's going on in ChargePoint. So just going to check back in on C3AI. It's now down at $19.50. Still can't catch any kind of a bid. And what goes up must come down. Now 5% to the downside. Still an inside move for HPE, but to the downside. It's top and bottom beats. It's also a beat on the guide for HPE, but it's not mattering. That kind of tells you a little bit of something about what this market is doing on earnings. If it's not all good, then watch out, because you're going to get punished at the first sign of weakness, or it's just not good enough, and you're going to get hit to the downside. But before we get into any more, I know we're going to have Chris Brecher on in a quick little second. There was a bit of a story, and Adair was mentioning this to me on Beyond Meat right before the close that I wanted to see if I could give to you guys. I thought it was moving a little bit more than this, but yeah, so right at the close, they said they're launching a new stake alternative as it focuses on health. Now take that however you want. A new stake alternative as they focus it on health. Now, obviously, Beyond Meat's had some issues with their products not being healthy. I'm not exactly sure what that means, and the market doesn't seem to want to buy that either. So there was that story. I thought maybe with a 42% short float, Beyond Meat could move on something like that. Unfortunately, they don't seem to care about that at all. Yeah, now you're starting to see some guidance. Alex, I was about to put that in, and thank you very much. I just saw the guidance as well for C3AI. It's right in the midpoint. So 37 versus 395, and the midpoint is 83. So that's pretty much as expected. That's going to hit it kind of right on the nose. It doesn't matter. It's getting sold anyways. So certainly quarter over quarter, they did have a decline in revenue quarter over quarter. That seems to be the missing hump here, and it's looking pretty nasty there. Down 18% on C3I. And the good news for traders here, implied move was 14%. So we're getting what we want. We're getting an outsized move on C3AI, which was pretty much what a trader wants to see. The inside moves on earnings, I'm never as excited to see those. But you guys let me know when we are ready. We are ready. You know what time it is. It's time for a little trader talk because Chris Brecher is locked and loaded. Chris Brecher, our good friend from Simpler Trading. Simpler Stocks, good to see you at Simpler Trading. Good to see you again today. It's been a wild one. I mean, yesterday everyone's talking about the largest notional decrease in terms of value lost in a single stock ever, and that was Nvidia. You had, I think, I counted 5 or 6 large cap, not just software names, but actually chip names that were 7 to 10% to the downside. Then this morning, it looked like we were ripping some faces off early, only to end up red on the NASDAQ and on the ES. So it was a very, call it like a seesaw, yo-yo kind of day or the last couple of days. It doesn't make me feel good when the market's down that much yesterday, and when you get a relief rally, it's not sustained very well. I don't like that. What are your thoughts on the action we've seen?
Well, number one is we called Friday, that the day after Labor Day, I don't know why everybody keeps talking about that you go up the day after Labor Day. If you take the rewind function on Thinkorswim and you go back all these years, so you go back to September 2020, and you're going to see what's happened the day after Labor Day. It's not pretty. So at all. I mean, it's gotten destroyed, actually. This one was about 3% it opened down. For the last 7 years, every year, the day after Labor Day, the market's gapped down. So we came in short, thank goodness. So that's one of them. So it's just that's what's been happening. But it's also about that thing like you and I have talked about of respect the break in either direction. So when everybody thought that we had some kind of bull flag here, really it's just respect the break in either direction. It's just really hard to short a market here when you wanted to short it up here. Actually, it's back like this. There. So right in there. So in this zone, that's where we came in short. So we were anticipating it. But I thought I'd show you something else that I thought was pretty cool. We mentioned last week that we called it the big kahuna. So the big kahuna is this, but I first thought I'd show this because I forgot I had this up here. So this is the big kahuna is the 50 simple moving average. So to me, the big elephant in the room is that the NASDAQ was decisively under the 50. So I know we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
So when the NASDAQ went under it, the probability is the S&P would at least go to it, which is what happened. But then you got the next thing, and that's this gap. Let me take that off. A little hard to see all that. So you see the NASDAQ filled the gap from August 14th. Let me move this over. There we go. So the NASDAQ's filled it. So to me, then the probability is the S&P is going to fill it as well. Then you have that the NASDAQ's close to filling the August 12th gap. That would be ugly. That would get you to 3650. So my first priority is definitely to lean short into that gap until that's objective. Or the NASDAQ goes straight up and the ES goes down. But right now, these have had similar charts since the end of last year. Very similar, except now. So you could go on the gaps. You could go on the moving averages, as you see the moving average. Or you can actually do it this way. You just take the fib retracement from that whole ugly sell-off in August and see that the NASDAQ is at the 50, almost the 50% retracement, when the ES is not even at the 61.8. So that's why if I'm going to play on the downside, I'm going to play ES stocks right now. But that's also why on the close, when we saw Nvidia get pounded, we're like, if Nvidia is getting pounded again, then the ES ain't going up. So that's why we lean short later in the day. Now we got this. You know what I'm going to mention? You can call it a flat bottom bear flag or a bretcher ledge. That's what I'm watching for tomorrow.
A
So
bretcher ledge.
NASDAQ's already down here. So I'll put the NASDAQ over here on a 15 or an hourly. There's your NASDAQ. There's your gap. There's your bretcher ledge. If this doesn't hold, you're talking about here. So that's what we're going to be watching tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Whether you call it a flat bottom break or I like this, I like the bretcher ledge. Maybe we'll get you a graphic for that. It's great sounding. It's all about what it means, right? And to me, all this means is you're on the precipice and you're at that area where usually you're going to find on a long term, you're going to find value buying and all that kind of good stuff at 50 period and 200 period moving averages on indexes and on big cap stocks. And you're on that precipice. We've retested it, but if the SPY joins the party, it's game over. But what you said about Nvidia, that's where my head is at on that move is I'm almost a little biased to the short side tomorrow ahead of that, given the lack of bigger bounce in Nvidia. Nvidia was 10% down, which meant it was short sell restricted. And we were talking about this throughout the day, how sometimes you'll get decent bounces when a stock goes SSR, and then the next day it can catch a bit of a bid because it's harder to go short in the stock, and it's kind of a gimmicky sort of function of the market. But given how far and how deep that pullback was on Nvidia, to be 10% down at one point, do a relief rally, and now they're down 1.7. Like, that is not good at all. I'm used to, if you have a capitulation type day, record setting type day to the downside, and you get a relief rally the next day, you're holding some of the rally. You're not going back into red. That's incredibly bearish to me. And it leans me into thinking, until something breaks down, if you have a breakdown, great, you're going to take the trade. But I'm going to be a little biased going into it because of the way that we finished. The money wasn't coming into this at the end of the day like I would have expected on a relief rally. Are there any, outside of Nvidia here, Chris, and I know you're looking at the SPY for that break, are there any individual names that you like more than others if we do get this break of the low or the 50 period on the SPY? If that bretcher ledge goes, are there any individual names that you like the most?
Yeah, let me show you at least what we did today, and I'll do it again tomorrow. So you have the theory, and let me go and change this to 3 grid. I call it 3 grid because I have so many 2 grids. But the way I look at this in here is you were watching Nvidia, like you said, and the lower Nvidia went, to me, that meant the probability in NASDAQ then, really outperforming the ES went down. So when Nvidia went down, we were watching the NASDAQ, and you see, what happened in there. So what we were doing is when you got the rally this morning in the ES, and we watched the ES do this, and this was also on one of our charts about the ES and the resistance right here. That resistance. Yeah, this is posted before the opening. So when it got up near this resistance and the NQ was going down already, we were looking for the ES stocks that already weren't going up. So that's how we tagged JP Morgan. So definitely, if the ES is going to plunge below that 50, decisively plunge below it like the NASDAQ, then you're going to need the big ES stocks to go back at the minimum to their 50. So that's why we're looking at JP Morgan. I'd love to look at Deere, and I'll share something really interesting. Our theory also was that the YM, the Dow, would go back to its 50. So I don't have it here. Let me put it right here. So we'll just put the Dow over here, nice and big as the 50. So our theory was if the NASDAQ went to the 50, then the ES should go to the 50 and the Dow should go to the 50. Well, that's why it's so interesting to see Caterpillar go to a 50 that's in the Dow and Deere stay elevated and it's not in the Dow. I think that's really cool. But I think they're going to play catch up. So from the short side, I would start with the JP Morgans of the world. That's the first place I go. And, I know it sounds real simplistic, but we'll just go to the Dow Jones on the bottom left and we'll look at what's too extended. I know that's like real simplistic, but that's how we're doing it. So you'll see in here, like, why on earth is JP Morgan all the way up here? All the way up here, and Goldman Sachs is all the way to the 50. So we're going to play the stocks in the Dow that are too far over the 50. That can mean American Express. That can mean JP Morgan. Apple's, believe it or not, back at the 50. So Apple's out. But in deciding if we're going to play other things tomorrow on the short side, I'm going to play the things that haven't caught up yet on the downside.
Right. I think that's a great, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong when you say, oh, but this is such a simple idea or such a simple concept. That's the best way to approach it. If you can, that's the best way to approach a trade. And don't get me wrong, I've seen strategies that work for people that are incredibly complex. But if it's as simple as you're breaking a ledge, you're going to have the index break a support level. You want the things that can move the most. But the other thing it provides you with, if it's a late mover, is generally speaking, the late movers will give you better risk to reward in terms of exits. They'll be closer to recent highs as well, which sometimes will give you some better entry points. And one thing about JP Morgan, there was selling on that at the close today. Like right at 4 o'clock, there was some selling on JP. So maybe some people are getting ahead of the Brecher ledge on JP Morgan. There was like a big bad wick. It's regained some of that in the aftermarket, but it was trending in the afternoon toward the highs, and then had some sell action come into it at the close. I'm gonna watch JP Morgan because of you, Chris. So I want to thank you for. I want to thank you for that. It's not usually a stock will trade outside of earnings, and Sean's brought it up a couple times for that relative strength. But to your point, when we start to roll over, I mean, Nvidia's on watch every single day. I don't have to tell people to go look at the chip names. They're already going to do that. When you start thinking about, talk about Caterpillar and Deere, those two juxtaposed. And then the JP Morgans of the world, BACs, had Berkshire selling that thing every single day, it seems. They're selling more of that bank. So I think it's a fantastic look, Chris. I want to shout out to you for pointing out the Brecher ledge. We're going to look out for that on the S&P tomorrow. Now, obviously, everyone's happy when stocks go up. I'm excited for the trading opportunity out there, but if it breaks, all we can do is react. In the long term, we want stocks to go up, but we have to trade that price action. Before we get you out of here, Chris, any final thoughts, anything you might be looking at that you haven't been able to get to, and tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, well, number one, definitely I'm not saying that, I'm just thrilled all the time when markets go down. I'm just saying you need that kind of tool in your hip pocket, because there are times when that works, and you got to have that kind of tool if you're going to trade professionally. But the other thing is, and I know this is a broken record, but now I like it, is I'm looking at the MSOS, the pot stock ETF again. It got unnaturally destroyed later last week because they were putting off any kind of decision about it, about decriminalizing it. But I'm telling you, it's getting down to where it was before even any talk of decriminalization happened. So it's near a good risk reward, the MSOS, around 6.
Yeah, that's an interesting one there as well. Like, that's a big level. I think we were looking at that previously. I think maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, but it seems like it just cannot seem to break away from it. But election time, this time of year, this time in the cycle is generally when those types of stocks get a little bit more active. This is the right time to be looking at MSOS and all of the cannabis names. Chris Brecher, great friend of the show. Thank you for being so generous with your time and your ideas out there. We'll see if that Brecher ledge breaks tomorrow, and then everyone here will be ready for it. And I'll give you a shout out if the S&P breaks the 50. I'll make sure at least once I say the Brecher ledge is gone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris Brecher. We'll talk to you a bit later. Thanks again.
All right, take care.
The Brecher ledge, the flat bottom break, whatever you want to call it. C3AI did that already today. which is lose every single support level. So whichever one you want to pick is what it broke. The guidance wasn't very good here for C. Well, okay, so C3AI, it was kind of in the midpoint, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, who cares about the earnings? It's a fresh low. It's down at $18.50, 21% to the downside when 14 was expected. HPE beating the top and the bottom lines. Their guidance actually was pretty solid on HPE, and it didn't seem to matter. It's still heading into the downside, down at 18 bucks. The good news for them, expected move was significantly more than this. We're looking at about, I wanted to say it was up to like 19.6, looking for like $1.60 or something for it to go. Well, we didn't go that much to the downside, only down 5 points, but not a good look when the earnings are not that bad. I guess they were just waiting to dump ChargePoint, because when the numbers came out, nothing happened for a couple of minutes. Oh yeah, by the way, ChargePoint did get down 10% at plus. Now bouncing a little bit, so it is down 8 points in here, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, the big name everyone's going to be looking at, in addition to the Retro Ledge and the S&P 500 being at that 50-period moving average, is going to be Nvidia. I don't love the fact that Nvidia was looking strong in the morning for a relief rally day and then could not hold on to those gains. That's not a bullish sign. You should be holding on to gains when you have a relief rally. That's why it's called a relief rally. Now it just looks like a dead cat bounce temporarily here on Nvidia. Before we get into roll call, I did want to go over one thing that I didn't get a chance to, and this is sort of, we don't always do the trade review. When I was on with Adara, a lot of time we'd be able to go over her trades, but I wanted to quickly, before we get our roll call on, want to discuss Affirm, because this was a simple case of the structure of the trade was vastly different from my anticipation, as I was only looking short in Affirm. And there were some moments where the break at 14.60 was good. Right off the open, it gave you 70, 80 cents. But I shorted it twice, second time I lost. It then did a late short off that level as well, but I look back at that 15-minute, and you have to be able to do this. If the entire thesis was double top, break down, the other part of that is when it bounces off this level, where's first resistance? Because I'll show you what I didn't do on Affirm. Afternoon top, 42.42. It's adding insult to injury that 42 is my favorite number. It came right into 42 and then failed it. So if I'm looking at double top, trend down, it's not just a breakdown. I got to be looking at that short in here at 42. I want to make sure I show that to everybody out there. Affirm was my worst stock today because it rallied big off of the open, and that was my number one short idea, and I didn't get it at $42. Should have had it at that lower high. Now we can get to the roll call, and every time I do this, we're starting it off here. Thank you, Bears versus Bulls. The number one moderator in YouTube, keeping the chat united, cohesive, and positive, and everything you want in a good trading community. And that's all because of you, Bears versus Bulls, and all of our viewers and our trading community as well. So get your name out in the chat if you want to get a shout out. That's what it's all about. I'm going to shout out, of course, Chris Brecher. Thank you so much for being an awesome guest and giving us your time every single week. Shout out the entire team, of course. But let's get it started. We got Raul saying thank you to the entire crew. Rivian Millionaire, what up? He's shouting out Miguel Lopez. We got Havana Woody in Bristol and Easy Peasy, Just a Freakin', Richard V, Sean, Mi Cansado, Adrian, Bora Hout, Blue Arrow, Elon, Mofum, Yatube37, Mary S. Lyman. We got Easy Peasy again. We got Sean Heinrich, Monty G, Sam Yip. We got Sinful Davy and Mark L. Yeah, what up, Mark L? We love you. Travel Buddy. We got Michael Spadafora, Monty G again. We got Sharu72, Lionel Martinez, and now it's going too fast. We got Chase Bands, Ronnie Rosable, Almog Mazor, Francisco Guzman, Michelle, J Digital Reactions, CompuCare Team, Pitchbull, Mi Cansado again, H Dominguez, Trader Forever, Kanye East. Pretty solid name in there. Nakul as well. We've got Miguel Lopez, the Piper. Huge. Yo, you almost made me say it. You got me last time, Hugh. You're not going to get me this time. Thank you. So we got DJ as well. Can't get to all of them because our time is up. But you know what the best thing about this is? The best thing about Trader TV, the best thing about the markets, is we get to do it all again tomorrow. It's just hump day. Tomorrow is Thursday. We got 2 more trading days. It's been a volatile start to the month and the final quarter of the year. We're looking for some more continuation of that. And C3 AI is certainly looking like it's going to give us that continuation as it's headed to the downside. We'll look for that to break some bottoms. And then we'll see if we get that retro ledge break tomorrow on the S&P 500. So you know what to do. Come right back here at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We're Trader TV Live, and we'll see you tomorrow.